Yo, 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 everybody. I've decided to continue being a bear because you can probably tell from my voice. I have a cold. Yay. Um, there is no podcast next week. I'm going to spoil it all for everybody now. So make sure you tune into this one all the way through because you're not going to probably see me for a couple of weeks. But let's go through the comments quickly and then we'll get this show on the road. Hello, Tree. Early, much early. I don't know why people thought it was early. It's the same time. It's the same time every Sunday. I kept it simple for everybody involved. But hello, Mike. Hello, Viv. How we doing? Yeah, what's up? What up? What up? Suppose I'd best turn up to fill everyone. You don't have to, mate. You can leave if you want. I don't feel like you have to be here. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for tuning in, Tyler. How you doing? Hello, Tree. Hello, Fee. Hello, Mike. Hello, Reese. How's your new edition? Hello, Dan. How you doing, my friend? There's a hurricane or something going on in America. Happens every day. Da-da-da-da-da. Hello, Jay. Jay also has a new edition. Repti Chat is here. Hello, Repti Chat. How are we doing? Gary is here. Hello, Gary, with the group vibes. Am I missing anyone? I don't think so. Talking about hurricanes. What's up, Serenity? How we doing, my friend? Ozherp, how you doing? Thank you for tuning in. Coolish Cresties with the new edition. How are you doing? Super Scale Exotic, how are we doing? Did he set up the lights properly? I don't know what's going on. Paul's late. What are you on about? Paul's never late. Paul's here early. Oh, yeah, fucking hell. Fuck. We're fucking not monetized it. Shit. We're not getting any money now anyway, but how are you doing? How are we doing? How are we doing? How are we doing? Hello, Jody. How are we doing? Hello, Nick. Now then, Paul. I'm a bear. I like this. I'm fluffy, all right? Leave me alone. And I know you're not referring to that. I just like to make everything about myself, as Fee pointed out to me yesterday. Anyway, hello, Amy. I hope you're doing well. How's Solly? We'll get into that. I won't go into it now because we'll get the sponsors out of the way, and then we'll get a bit more into Solly because I'm sure it will come up. So yeah, shout out to the Bug Factory. You know the drill. Use Paul's -monitors-5 for 5% off your first order of live food of bugs for the cheapest, what I have found, live food online, and I've never really had an issue with them. Good guys and girls over there, as well as sustainably growing mealworms in a fancy Modulex system with carbon filters, so you cannot smell the disgusting smell of breeding mealworms, and it looks much nicer than just using a little plastic drawer systems. Yeah, there's that. Check them out. Links in the description. Don't know why they decided to part with me. I'm like the best person in the world for this sort of admin stuff, but here we are. And if you guys want to support me that little bit more, other than a comment and a like, and get entrance to the private Discord where you can find out about some super secret stuff before the rest of the world, if you care. For example, the new geckos that I'm getting tomorrow, the Patreon, no. And also the Egg of Solly and stuff like that, as well as just general chit chat. Michael, who runs it for me, has done a good job of breaking it up into different groups, and it's forever growing about different things. And to be honest, I am struggling to keep up with it. So thankfully, loads of people are active over there, because otherwise it would just be a failure. But it's not. So yeah, we'll get to the last few comments, and then we'll get into this podcast. Hello, Neil. How you doing, mate? Hope you're well. Yeah, there was a problem. There was a problem. I don't know what Fee said, but anyway, damn it. Okay, we'll get into it. Okay, anyway, right, without further ado, we have Michael and we have Matt.
Hi.
Monitor Dreams. How are we doing, boys? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. Yourself?
I'm dying. Michael, you good?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Good. I have new questions. I haven't found them yet, and I haven't finished them yet. So if anyone has any questions that you would like to be featured in the quickfire questions, then comment now or don't. Either way. So
that's just a knockoff of Ben's ones, yeah.
Yeah, honestly, best reptile podcast in the UK. So I just want to be him. So we'll start with Michael, then we'll go to Matt, and it'll just be Michael, Matt, and these are the questions that I've come up with thus far. So, Michael, would you rather more space or more time for keeping?
More space.
Matt?
More space. Definitely more space at the minute.
Michael, what is your favorite species you currently keep?
At the moment, it would have to be my Persinus.
I wonder why you were thinking about it. I can't lie.
No, because there's a few that really stick true to me. But yeah,
Matt, what's your current favorite species that you're working with?
Depends how you phrase it. Are we saying favourite species or favourite animal?
The question is species, but the next question may or may not be animal. So
I would say species is Macraei.
And the next question is individual. So we'll go to you first on that, and then your favorite individual.
So Tongue the Black Tree, definitely.
Michael, who's your favorite individual?
Can I change my answer?
You can change your answer. Yeah, you can go species and individual. Yeah.
No, so for species, I was debating between my frill dragons. As a species or as a whole, they're really, really cool. But individual animal, if I was to grab one, the house is burning down, grab one animal, it would probably be Wogs, my green tree.
Yeah, can't be a tree monster. Matt, what is one thing you do not like about the reptile hobby?
One thing.
Just one thing, yes. Just one.
What's a broad thing is probably the fact that everyone picks holes in everyone else's care.
That's a fair point.
So actually, the number of times you'll read something and it will just be about someone moaning because they don't like how someone keeps it. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all for calling people out if they're keeping stuff like shit. But I think if it's the sort of like nitty gritty stuff, I just think actually, if they're happy to learn and it's not a disaster, then why are you ripping someone to shreds on social media?
Yeah. And Michael, what's one thing you don't like about the reptile hobby?
Those people that believe they're doing it right, even like people that aren't willing to learn or they're not willing to take criticism because they believe what they're doing is 100% right. And that may be the people that are a year into the hobby and think that they're brilliant and think that they know everything. Or it could be people that have been doing it 20 years that are outdated. Like both kind of fall into the same camp of being open to new ideas or to new technologies or new things and willing to improve.
And then following that straight away, Michael, what is one thing you do like about the hobby?
When you're able to find a small niche or a small group of people that are like-minded, I think it adds that whole new level of the hobby. Being able to bounce ideas or share animals and stuff like that. I think doing the hobby on your own or doing your hobby with like a huge community that you're not really a part of can feel a bit isolating. Whereas when you've got a small group, I think it really adds levels.
Yeah, I agree. I've started enjoying my hobby a lot more since sort of being part of the small group that we are. Matt, one thing you do like about the reptile hobby?
I think it's similar, really. It's the fact that you can sort of live miles away from people and not really know anyone locally who's likes reptiles or enjoys reptiles. I know where I used to live, there was pretty much no one. It was just me. But as good and as bad as social media is, actually, it does bring people together. And like we wouldn't have met were it not for social media.
No. It wasn't the other day. It was a while ago. But I was saying to Feed, no, it was a talk about the wedding because she was saying about like all the reptile people. And then obviously my normal friends, which aren't, the ones that don't like scaly things. Also, as well, Bam has just said they're basically talking about me preferring the mangroves to Fee. So Bam's saying she draw some yellow dots on herself, which I thought was quite cool. Anyway, maybe she should try that. Write that down. She was just saying it's so strange because you meet all these people through like a common denominator. Then you're like it just through, for example, reptiles, and you end up becoming like your best mates and just meeting over Akis or whatever the case may have been. I think it was. Yeah, trying to lowball you. Yeah. having none of it. And then double barrel question. We'll start with Matt. What's your dream species unrealistic and dream species realistic?
Unrealistic. I would
That
love
could
to
be
keep...
anything, even if you.
So I would
never
love a
own it.
Brenti,
Yeah,
but it's unrealistic for the fact that one, you can't get them legally, and two, I don't have the capabilities to look after a Parenti currently, or the experience. But I would love one.
yeah.
And if someone dropped off at my, if someone turned up at my doorstep with one, I wouldn't say no.
No.
And then realistic. There's two that spring to mind. One is the obvious, which is golden spotteds, which I've heard may become realistic relatively soon. Well, realistic as in you can get hold of them. Realistic,
Available.
no.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the other one is I've always wanted either armadillos or sun gazers. And at one point I will get them, hopefully.
Yeah. Michael, unrealistic, realistic.
Just reptiles.
No, you can have what you want, but yeah.
Don't say a fish.
I
No,
think,
it's going to be a cat, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think mines have changed recently because what I felt was unrealistic maybe a year and a half ago almost become realistic now.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
I think one species that will come to mind straight away is Mitchell. Before knowing the people that I know and before Matt got his, I thought that was a species that wasn't even in the UK. Very, very, very few out with Australia. That would be a very unrealistic animal. But now, possibly in the future, that may be realistic. I thought tree monitors were always going to be unrealistic. But here I am with my Persinus. I would love yellows. That would be my realistic animal. I actually want to put it here. This alcove, this space. I would love a pair of yellow trees here. Unrealistic.
Pink, what is it? Whatever it is. I don't fucking know.
I've got most of those. I don't need.
Right. I don't know.
Unrealistic. I would love a big monitor. Coming eye. I wanted the high yellows. I think they're really cool. I would have the space. If I got rid of my entire collection, I'd have the space for one, but I wouldn't make that trade.
Yeah.
But I'd love a big monitor, but it's not realistic in my current circumstances. Dream animal would be a leopard cat.
Good shout.
Yeah.
Matt, no
Just realised
caveat.
all this talk of isopods, I haven't checked on mine in well over a week.
That's the bloody heavy eye money down the drain.
Just send them over here, Matt. That's fine.
See if they like the cold. Matt, just blanket, yes or no? Stop wild caught imports of all reptile species today. Yes or no?
No. That was
Michael,
hard.
Yes or no?
No.
No. Matt, natural or clinical keeping?
Natural.
Michael?
Ideally natural.
There's a couple of others on there, but they're probably more individual guest based. So that was the wrap up questions. Thank you all for tuning in. It's a great podcast. Have a good night. That was that's what all I got to, and I couldn't be bothered with anymore. But let's go on to the kind of realistic, not realistic. Let's start with Matt. What is rough outline? Have you got goals for your collection keeping plans this year? Just this year, not 5-10 year term, just this year.
So short term, so for this year, probably. So I'm going to pick up a couple more yellows, hopefully next weekend. With the plan that long term, I will keep one pair of yellows. realistically, the monkey tail will be going at some point, as will probably the Kingorum. I've got someone who's interested in them and who's offered me something that I pretty much can't turn down. On top of that, then I basically need to rejig the whole room. So I need to get rid of all the vivs across the top that used to keep geckos in and try and put something in there that's a bit more usable. Whether that is Exoterras, I'm not sure if I can fit them in on top with the domes on top, but I need to have a look. But for babies, because I realised that I might get overrun very quickly towards the end of the year with babies of different species. So basically, the main thing really is cutting down if I can. And then if I can pick up something interesting, then great. But I'm not planning on it unless it becomes available. I'm certainly not looking for it.
So just more or less staying where you are, just continuing to just enjoy your hobby and
I think so.
Grow out some yellows.
And if I can, I guess the blacks, they might get to a breeding age at some point in the next year or so. So they're just over 2 now. It would be nice to breed them. Am I that worried about breeding them? Not really. But I would quite like at some point to have bred all tree monitors, but that's more long term.
Yeah, and there's nothing outside of the dream species that could crop up. Obviously, what you mentioned earlier, but there's nothing that could crop up that could twist your arm, or not really anything.
I mean, I'd never say never. I mean, I'm sure I pan on reptile forums every night, and there's like the recent fad was the Namibian chameleons, which I'll be honest, if they were the price that I thought they were, I'd have bought them by now.
Yeah, they're very cool. It's a shame, really, but yeah, they were really cool.
I think that'll be the price that I think they will be fairly soon. But I just need to hold out a bit longer, I think.
Yeah, I agree on that. They'd be perfect for your room above the vivs as well, above the tree monitors. Yeah,
because that's the other thing. Those vivs get hot, like really hot.
Or just get toad-headed agamas, because I think mine will breed this year purely because my male is like hornier than anything I've ever seen. I'm pretty sure the small one is a male, which is sad because it's a reverse trio. But Fee's in love with the little one, which means I have to keep it. But because they're so social, I need to get more, which wasn't the plan, as in 2 setups. But we'll see if I can do a 2.2 or whatever. But anyway, the male is trying to breed both of them, and I'm pretty sure one of them is a boy. So something's going to have to happen somewhere. But anyway, Michael, what is your plan in an ideal world? Because we'll do a podcast at the end of the year, and none of this would have ever happened, and we'll all be depressed when it comes to December. But it's January, so we'll start fresh. What's your plan for keeping this year with your hobby?
As in incoming and outcoming?
Yes and no. Just a general. It doesn't have to be. It's just a general direction in your head, if you've even thought about it, where you would like your collection keeping to go.
I highly doubt I'm going to add much this year. I said that last year. I ended up with quite a few.
Yeah, you bought like 25 monitors.
No, I bought 6 monitors.
I'm trying to do the maths.
Because you did. I'm counting.
He did chops and trades and.
Oh yeah, I acquired 6
dodgy
monitors.
Dealing. Yeah.
I acquired 6 monitors.
Yeah.
This year, I would like to play around with some sort of desert species of gecko. Preferably knobtail. I really like those.
Maybe.
Really, really like those.
I know a guy.
Other than that, if my baby Leachianus turns out to be male, then I might go back on the hunt for another female. Still would like to add a female crested gecko. But no big extremes. Although you never know. I've just got my holiday forms put in for IHS in September, so.
Mate, IHS was the worst thing I ever did. I didn't want anything other than maybe some little June geckos. That's all I wanted. And then I came back with June geckos, toadheads, centipede, which have all had a mutiny and decided to kill each other, and there's one left that's supreme, and he's just like he rules it now. But anyway, millipedes, toadheads, binos, knobtail. Yeah, so I'm kind of hoping that I don't have a similar IHS this year. To be honest,
the funny thing is, I think it could have been worse.
Oh, it could have been. There was plenty.
Yeah. If it wasn't as busy as it was, I generally reckon I would have spent more money, which is quite sad.
I think the amount of times I stopped and thought about something, I could have walked out of there with a pair of Lacerta, a pair of Antaresia, at least one or two leopard geckos, at least one or two crested geckos. Like there was, I really kind of held out. I didn't pick up any lizard from IHS that wasn't pre-booked.
Not impulse, no.
No.
Peer pressure.
I still remember you ran round. You ran round to me, like tapped me on the shoulder, and you were like, "You need to go and look." We were like 2 aisles back. We all came in at the same time. Me, Matt, Michael, a couple of other people. Michael just was gone, like a kid in a candy store. He just ran off. And I'd never been to a show before either, so I was a bit like overwhelmed. And Matt was like, "Oh, just follow the system. We'll go round." And so me and Matt were walking around. Anyway, we got in early and it started to get a bit busier. Then Michael came and found us, and we were 2 rows back, and he was like, "You need to go over there now and see where the jungle dawn is. Go there now." And I walked there, and I'm looking at, and I come into this like pot of sand with a jungle dawn over the top, and there's these 2 tiny little toad-headed agamas, and he was like, "Buy them." And I was like, "Okay."
And then I walked away.
And then he just left. And Matt was like, "Honestly, if you don't buy them, they're going to be gone." I was like, "Oh my God, yeah, maybe." Oh, within the show, like there was 10 minutes.
See, within half an hour, all the really the unusual pairs and groups. Quite a few people bring in like groups or pairs of stuff that they're not interested in it, or they're done with, and most of it gets snapped up quite quickly because people like an idea of a quick project or something that's already going. But I wanted to just get a bit of cork bark. I knew that if I didn't get to the cork bark, but yeah, it was no major plans for anything. Obviously, I'd love to find a female green tree, but it's not something that I'm gonna budget for, unfortunately. Possibly a baby green tree, but again, it's hard. Outgoings, nothing really. I might move on I've got a couple of baby bredli that are feeding and doing well, but maybe. I've got space for 1 more species of isopod, and then my tubs are done.
Is it the one that I think you want?
I want lemon blues. Yeah, it's being held for lemon blues. I got offered some actually last week, like really cheap. Not really, not like really, really cheap that you couldn't say no, but like cheap enough that you're like, oh, but I couldn't justify it this month.
No, January's horrible.
Yeah, like no major plans for anything crazy. I think if I manage to get a species of knobtail, I think I'll be happy with that. Breeding wise, my pink tongues look like they're going to go again. They're out basking and eating loads already, so I've not caught them locked, but I never last year either, so they'll probably go in the summer. Really hope my frill dragons go this season. They skipped last season, so fingers crossed. Akis have been locked up. Timors have been locked up. And I think that's it.
Okay, well, me then. So I'm parting with a pair of knobtail geckos. It is what it is. I'm parting with Bumpy. Bumpy is going to a good friend of ours in a month or so. Toad will be getting a massive upgrade with a 4-foot pond, which is exciting. We're getting some new geckos tomorrow. I have to drive 2 hours after work to go and get some new geckos tomorrow. To be honest, I kind of regret getting them purely just because the money, if something comes in on an import, I'm like, ugh, but I know I will enjoy them when they come. Yeah, I mean, I'll hopefully breed both species of Stenodactylus this year. I'd like to breed the toadheads this year. The Gillini are going again already. Ackies are going again. They've already just laid, but they're locking again already. Cada's still way too young to breed this year, so that'll be a next year thing. I would like to get Kermit into his adult, even though he's an adult, but his forever enclosure this year in the early part of the year. Yeah, I don't really. I'm in an iron if I want peach throats. If they come in, but at the same time, I don't know where they're going to go. And then obviously, I have little baby Solly, and I have more due next month. So if I have 2 more hatch, if both eggs hatch next month, end of February, I'll have 3 captive bred baby mangroves. So I have no need to get anything new, and I can play with them, and I probably will set all 3 up differently and just sort of see what works best and how they respond to it. But yeah, I don't really have many plans for my collection, but the chances are something will come up and I'll find money and buy it and sell it like a Candoya.
I think there'll be a lot of imports this year.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I think there's going to be like a lot more frequent than they were last year. I think now once they start going, I think it'll be a lot more frequent.
Yeah, it seems to have opened up a lot. Even just look at the last 6 months, we've had a good few Salvatore shipments. So we've had Dorianas come in, we've had Rudicolas come in, we've had Indicas come in the last year, we've had Prasinus, Beccarii, Zingari, Macraei, Salvadorai. So yeah, we've had a bunch of stuff come in.
Just none of the ones Matt wants.
None of the ones Matt wants. Not yet.
Yeah,
Anyway.
realistically, they're not going to be the price that I want anyway, even if they do come in.
Well, up here, dead. You know.
Oh, the other ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Those ones. Okay, we'll go on to this. We all agree. I would also have answered it. I would not stop Wild Court, but we'll start with Matt. What is your reasoning behind? But we're all in agreement anyway. But what's your?
So there's 2 reasons. I would say even if you were to stop legal wild caught animals coming in, they would just come in illegally. So I don't think you could stop it. Now, I'm not saying I necessarily agree with that. And I think it's about the right species coming in. Don't get me wrong. Bringing in wild caught, say, what's the worst example I can think of? Savannah monitors. Bringing in that, there is utterly no point in bringing them in. They bring them in the hundreds, if not even into the thousands.
Yeah,
I hate to think what percentage die. I suspect it's a lot higher than you realise. They come in at like a few quid each, and then they get sold on when there's people that are spending, I forget his name now. What's his name? Who's breeding them? Dean, yeah. Spending lots of time in breeding them and getting captive bred animals. So then bringing the wild caught ones makes 0 sense.
He stopped, didn't he? Purely because people were buying captive bred.
Yeah. Which is mad.
Yeah.
Other animals, the tree monitors, to a certain extent, yes, new blood is good because there's not huge amounts about. What I would say is that I would be interested to know in 2 years of those animals, how many of them have produced captive bred babies, because I suspect it won't be very many, if I'm being honest. But yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? If they suddenly stopped and said wild caught was no longer allowed, would I be that disappointed tomorrow? Probably not. But equally, I think it does have its place in certain circumstances, if it's correct.
Michael, Fee wants to know what's on your fancy new top.
Oh, it's a list of monitor lizards.
Indicus.
All of the ones except the one he really wants.
Yeah. Really, because they've got spinnies on it, but they don't have yellows, which is really weird. But yeah.
What a nerd. He doesn't have tokeis on there. He's going to get tokeis soon.
Well,
Michael,
to be fair, I've been speaking to a few people that keep some pretty cool tokay geckos.
One of which being Fee.
Like, not gonna lie, that could, once I get everything sorted and everybody upgraded that I wanted to do, yeah.
Normal
tokeis is a go.
Normal.
Like I like there's some nice line bred high reds.
Yeah.
So it's more, yeah. Like the orange is more prominent. They're quite nice. So, and I do like. Well, I don't mind morphs to an extent. I'd quite like a couple of hets, and then every so often pop out a patternless or something. I think that'd be quite cool. But yeah, wild caught. If we stopped the ethical, correct way of doing things, and I'm like I'm under no assumption that it's done this way all the time, but when people do it right, and when it's done with the animal in mind, the species in mind, and being able to regulate the numbers correctly, it can provide invaluable income for the local for the local people. You stop that income, you stop that money going into their pockets for the collecting of the animals. Only thing that's going to happen is that those people are going to turn to other means of income, which is probably going to. And I'm more versed, I'm more knowledgeable in like ones when it comes to like fish collecting in the Amazon and stuff. But if that money stops, if that importation money stops, those people are going to turn to, well, poaching, because they know how to collect the animals, and they're going to want the money, or they're going to turn to something like cattle farming, or they're going to come to logging, or so. Actually, in stopping the collecting of the animals, you're probably giving them a bigger death sentence. Now, I agree with Matt. I think some of the animals that come in are ridiculous and it's not needed. I also think that the amount of like the price that some of these animals come in for, like some of the tree monitor prices recently were absolutely ridiculous. I would love to see the percentage that is actually paid to the person that found and caught that animal.
Oh, mate, the markup's going to be ridiculous.
Oh, did you imagine? But then if you think that that's the money they're getting for a tree monitor, then imagine the money they're getting for something smaller.
Did you see the podcast? Have you watched the podcast that Chris did with MJ?
No.
Yeah. Okay, I've finished it now. Chris Appin did a podcast on the Trap Talk podcast yesterday, and he said that they're paying about $30. They're being paid, not Chris, as in if to capture a macrae and send it off, they get about $30 per macrae. So that tells you how much the trappers are getting. They're getting $30 per macrae. So
yeah,
and by the time you could grand.
Yeah.
Man, I think done correctly, it can be beneficial to the people. It can be. Unfortunately, for the individual animal, yes, there's the risk of coming into captivity, and is that fair on the individual animal, etc., etc., etc. But as a species as a whole, correct collection can be beneficial.
Yeah,
but it really needs to be well policed.
I think the problem is never going to be well policed. That's the issue.
No.
And then also for the hobby itself, like obviously, exactly that, Michael. The native range of these animals is going to become what's a detriment. But for the hobby itself, if you look at something like savannah monitors, just as an argument's sake, they're imported in the 100,000. I think someone estimated that 200,000 savannah monitors come into the UK every year. Now, that number, I don't know how true it is, but let's just take it as 10,000. Let's just say 10,000 come into the UK every year. They always come in and they always end up getting sold or die. So clearly these animals are dying and people are just replacing them. But if that importation was to stop tomorrow, I wouldn't disagree with it. And I think it would be great for the hobby as a general. But the people that do want savannah monitors can no longer have them because no one is making the effort to captive breed them. And the people that did captive breed them weren't supported. So they stopped. And it'd be the same, for example, with me with mangroves. If I decided not to breed mangroves, there's not really many people doing it in the UK. I'm the only one, to my knowledge, that's really trying. I'm sure there's a couple of other people that are keen, but I'm the only one who's really trying. If I decided not to, and then importation was stopped, then no one could have mangroves. And again, is that a bad thing? Is that a good thing? But then that goes for every single species that's wild caught that no one breeds. Like the little tiny sand geckos that I have, there's 2 or 3 people like breeding them, and that's it. So to stop importation tomorrow, within 10, 15 years, you would lose so many species because no one could breed them. And they're just not here in the numbers that they need to be for certain species, for example, Joviensis, Indicus, that kind of stuff, to be bred. So I think wild caught, when it comes in, has to go to the right homes, because you're talking $3.5 for a wild Macraei female, which is fucking ludicrous. Is going to be brought by anyone who's just got a bit of money. He's not going to breed it. It's going to die. And then you've just lost that wild blood, which is invaluable to someone who's successfully breeding the species or has proven their stripes in breeding Prasinus complex. It's just a waste. And that is what happens when these wild animals come in.
I think as well that when the numbers are properly documented, that's when your CITES appendixes and stuff can play a beneficial part. I.e., you let a certain amount of these animals get collected for 5 years. You then put a ban on it for that species for 3 or 4 years to allow for the natural, to allow for the population to increase again and to stabilize. And it's just about doing it properly. And surely there's enough people out there that it can be done properly. It's just, and as we've seen, there's plenty of money in it. So if there's plenty of money in it, there should be a good incentive to do it properly. But unfortunately, bad practice also pays well, because people will pay.
It will be interesting to see what it's like in the next year or so, now that sort of it's almost been given the green light. Now a few people have done it and the importers have said yes. I suspect the green light will now be, and it will happen a lot more frequently than it was happening.
The problem is, if people are paying the prices, like, it is what it is. The prices are the prices. Yeah, like I've always said, for example, I'm going to be selling my captive bred mangroves, the next 2 that hatch. Solly stays, the next 2, if they hatch, they will be for sale. Hypothetically speaking, let's say I say £1,000. I personally think that is too expensive, but let's just say, if no one pays it, I then have to lower the price. That's just business. But if someone decides to pay £1,000, that then holds that value at £1,000, because the only one that sold was £1,000. So if someone decides to put a price up, that's their prerogative. Regardless if you think £1,000 is too expensive or not, it's only worth what someone's willing to pay. But the flip side of that coin, if you're going into shops that have wild caught Prasinus complex that are more expensive than the captive breds, and you're supporting the wild caught import and the shop's going to do it again. Of course they are. It's business. And I have no issue with the shops doing that. That is what it is. I don't have a horse in the race. I don't really care. But that then, for example, people like yourself, Matt, you're doing it because you're passionate. But you go, well, what's the point in breeding? Everyone's buying all the wild caught stuff. So you just hypothetically stop breeding, just start keeping for keeping. All of a sudden, all these animals that have come in have died. The importation then stops on them. You've stopped breeding. All the other breeders, because there's not many tree monitor breeders, have just stopped breeding because no one's supporting it. All of a sudden, we don't have tree monitors and the price just hikes back up anyway. And we've all lost because we're all dickheads and we think we're getting something which we're not. And that rinse and repeat cycle that's been going on forever and a day. I just don't know how people can't see what's in front of their face. But yeah,
but we've seen it. We've already seen it with so many species of other monitors.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Like wild caughts might have been common 10 years ago. Maybe 2 or 3 people in that time have managed to actually successfully breed them. And now all the animals we've got in the UK are 4, 5, 6, 7 years old.
Or you don't know where they are. They just disappear.
Yeah. I do find it interesting, though. Don't get me wrong. Like, for me, it's a lot of money paying $3.5 for a tree monitor. But if it meant me getting new blood, because actually there's not huge amounts of bloodlines in the UK, then I would contemplate it. But what I find absolutely mad is some of these people that are paying $3.5 when, like the blue trees, when there are people literally posting on all the WhatsApp groups, wherever, for like $2,000 for a captive bred baby. Like, it makes 0 sense.
Yeah. You could buy literally pretty much 2 babies and have, you got to spend a little bit more, or buy 1 wild caught. And it's like, what?
When I last checked that, do you remember there was a male Macraei on Pre-Loved that was up for over a year. It was still up, and it was like 1,800, I think, for a captive bred one. Or you can buy a wild caught one for, I think it was $2.5. I think the blues, or was it $3,000? It might even been free, and people were paying that
money. Yeah,
it just makes 0 sense. But
I would be really curious to know how much wild Timors would come in at.
600-700 quid, I'd imagine.
Which
Yeah.
is
What they'd come in at, a lot less, but what they'd be to the public.
unmarked up, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But again, like Matt says, that for some people would be.
Oh,
Perfect.
but the problem is with that, and again, I'm in the Timor project now. I'll be honest, I don't really have £700 spare. I'm very fortunate that I know people and I probably could get them for under shop value. But let's just say hypothetically I didn't. I'm fully dedicated, same as yourself. But they come in at such silly prices. It outprices good keepers. And Cornish was just saying there about the £1,000 for Solis. Honestly, for me, the cost of the animals are irrelevant. But I know for a fact I'm going to be a right dickhead when it comes to selling them, because if you haven't got the setup exactly how I want it, you're not buying it. And that's how it makes me sound like a twat. With a gill and eye, it's a bit like, all right, okay, you can do this and make it work. But because these animals are more than money to me, which sounds horrible, but at the end of the day, when you breed an animal, they do become a product, and you've got to look at it that way. But with the mangroves, I don't think I'll be able to sell them purely because I'm going to be so fussy. And even if I put them up at 300 quid, I'm still going to be a twat. And you're going to have to prove to me that you can have it rather than me try to sell it to you. And I think when you start getting into the more expensive, harder species, again, it comes down to that, doesn't it? Like, people don't necessarily want to breed them or work with them because you get this issue and you'd rather just say, I'll just let the wild courts come in because I can't be asked to deal with this. And you end up in that same cycle again, but for a different reason.
I think 99% of people as well won't know the value of captive bred mangrove. They'll just see, oh, there's mangroves.
Yeah, they go, oh, that's expensive. I saw one in the shop for 250 quid.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You are the second person in the country to get a
yeah. There's I don't mind getting into it. There's a shop in the UK that's allegedly captive bred mangroves. The same shop got mangroves at the import when they came in. I messaged them because the information that they put on the website was terrible. And I also said the animals that you have aren't captive bred, they're wild caught. And they're like, oh my God, yeah, thank you so much. Oh, blah, 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 blah. And now these said animals are still up for sale as captive bred. So I'm now the second person, proper kick in the teeth.
Because it was the same place that I then messaged at the time and said, how long have you had them? And they said, oh, they've been in the UK for 4 weeks, knowing full well that you picked yours up. Was it 3 days before?
Yeah, and I got mine like the day they landed in the country. And it was like 3 or 5 days, something like that. And they're like, yeah, we've had them for a month.
But now aren't they saying that they bred them?
Yes.
Yeah, they tell her that they bred them. Yeah, Fee doesn't care. She's like, move on, guys. Yeah, I'm not the first, everybody. I'm a fraud.
First parthenogenetic.
Yeah, well, I'll take that. They've probably done that as well, to be fair. So, at the end of the day, we don't feel the need to shout about it. Anyway, moving swiftly on. I don't really know what we were talking about. We were talking about tree monitors being expensive and wild caught, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. It's gone. We're procrastinating, guys. It's gone. I
think the prices will come down.
Yeah, person over profit. Paul's got the right idea. When selling animals, you should. I see a lot of people in the chat saying they want Gillenite as well. My females are getting ready to go again. So best dwarf monitors, hit me up. But yeah, I don't see. I just think you don't have any wild caught tree monitors, do you, Matt?
No.
No, you're all captive bred.
Is your male green?
No,
he's captive bred.
Matt's got F2 babies, baby. So you could look to export them. To be fair,
yeah, I've got I've got the CITES paperwork for the grandparents, and then the proof of where the parents came from. So if I wanted to, I could. I just can't be bothered. It's too much hassle. I just need to trade them. Anyone who's got armadillos, I'm keen.
Not the mammals.
No, I mean, to be fair, I'm keen on mammals as well. But
yeah.
I think tree monitors as a general this is going to sound horrible, but I think they've become a bit of a fad. I think they're more like, don't get me
Oh,
wrong, they're
100%.
incredible lizards, but I think they're the in thing at the minute, aren't they? For right reasons.
And then you get two people. You get the people that want a baby because they want to experience tree monitors, and they see the videos on YouTube or Instagram of like how amazing they can be and all the tricks and stuff that you can do with them and blah 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 blah, and they want to experience that, and that's nice. And then you see the people that just see the money signs.
Yeah.
And like it's the people that message you and go, "Do you sell pairs?" Or can I buy a male and a female, please? Or these people that are just automatically buying like a pair going up for sale and being snapped up straight away because somebody's like, "Oh, tree monitor, breeding age. I'll breed that in 6 months and get my money back." Like a lot of people see the value in the pound signs, which is a shame.
I get it on a fairly frequent basis, I would say, of people either asking, one, are they sexable? And then the classic is where they go, I'm not really interested in breeding, and then follow it up with about 6 questions all about how do you breed tree monitors.
Yeah.
Which is one of those things.
You see people flipping as well, like because of this wild court prices.
No comment.
Yeah, I know, Matt. I'm not expecting you to get involved. I'm just saying people see money and they're like, oh yeah, this one's cheap. I can sell it for this because there's other ones in shops. The ones in the shops, they're just too expensive for what they are. But yeah, I want to.
And it could have been, and I think we spoke about this last time on part 3, but it could have been such a good opportunity for the UK tree monitor hobby as a whole, this import, if it was done with the right people, under the right circumstances, with the right ideas in mind.
What I do find interesting is of all the tree monitors to come in, I think I actually only know of one person who has one.
Yeah, as in like
one person, like
yeah, as in
Dan's the only person I know.
That brought one.
Yeah.
I think a fair few came in, and they seem to have gone somewhere.
So when they first came in, there were there were 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 23 that I know of. And I suspect there are more than that.
Yeah. And they all came in like perfect sex trio.
Yeah.
Really female heavy.
Yeah. Perfect sex trios. Captive bred, so they'll not have to be over 15 centimeters snout event. But yeah, anyway, enough on that. It's just like, you've beaten a dead horse at this point. So let's change gears a little bit. Michael, you've been bitten by the monitor bug.
Yeah.
Do I want some Smarties? Oh, I'm okay, thanks, Fee. People listen to me crunch Smarties. So you've been bitten by the monitor bug. Going back a couple of years, you just had Ackies, yeah?
Yeah.
So what has changed in regards to, I guess the question I'm kind of asking was, did you like monitors but not realize they're that amazing? Or did you not realize purely because you didn't have them? Or like what's changed? Because I know from private conversations, you're planning on converting your entire room into a monitor dedicated wall. So what about the Varanids?
Well, I think for me, you could almost, like if you go back 10, 15 years and you look at what animals I planned or the animals I like, one day I want to own those. Half would be semi-arboreal tropical agamids, your water dragon, frill dragon, basilisk, sailfin dragon, those type of things. And then the other half would be monitors, so green tree, Kimberley rock, those kind of things. So for me, I've always really enjoyed monitors, but they've always been higher priced. I think would be they almost seemed unachievable. I bought my Ackies from a shop for 150 quid each. Yeah. that was 3.5 years ago. So I remember spending 300 quid on my Akis, and they were the cheap monitor. But I remember then looking at other monitor species and going, oh, there's some really cool ones. And there was nothing even close in price.
Yeah.
It was Aki at like 150, and then the next was maybe 450, 500.
I was going to say Kim's were probably, what, 700, 800 at one
Yeah. Like, I can't even think now, but I just remember looking at a whole bunch of different monitors back then when I started like building my collection and thinking there is no alternative to an Aki. And to be fair, even now,
Valid point. Yeah, it's a valid point.
Yeah.
even now, what the closest would be Gill and I.
Yeah, about
Yeah.
350, that kind of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if you found someone on a really good day, possibly less if you bought a couple, but you know, buy 3 for 950 or whatever. Like, there's not an alternative to Aki's. So for me, I wanted a monitor. I knew that I wouldn't be able to afford. Back a couple of years ago, my most expensive lizard would have been my Australian Mortar Dragon at 250, or my pair of frillies that I think I paid 300 for. Like, there was, I didn't put that kind of money into my collection. So spending what I spent on my Kimberleys, for example.
Yeah, it's mouthwatering, yeah.
Yeah, like no chance. Like, I wouldn't have even thought about it a year and a half ago. But I think as well is that you kind of want what you're surrounded by, or like you want to be involved. So yeah, like 15 years ago, I wanted Australian Mortar Dragon, Frill Dragon, Kimberley Rock Monitor, and a Green Tree Monitor. That was the 4 species I wanted. I've had all of those. I've kept all of those. I now keep 3 of those 4. So monitors have always been something that I've been interested in, but I like the team wars were something that I just got a bit carried away and a bit excited about.
Yeah.
I really enjoy them. I think they're fantastic, and they're a nice species, and it's nice that there's not a lot of people doing them as well, which is always beneficial. I think, like, I love Kimberleys. I love my Kimberleys. I think they're great, but you almost go for peaks and troughs of 5-10 people with them, or nobody has them. And I think with the amount of babies that have been produced at similar ages of mine, I think they're gonna start coming down to Gill and I level money very soon.
Yours should be ready to breed, aren't they?
I'm breeding mine slow.
They would have done 100%.
Oh no, mine are.
How long have you had them now? When did you get them? Obviously, I same time, but I forget. March. April?
They were at yours at AHH.
Because they were, one was December, one was January, or one was November, one was December. Yeah.
Yeah, one was like Christmas. Yeah, like one was. So they're both about a year old.
You should have hatched babies by now.
Easy.
Nah, like they're getting there in size, but they're nowhere near.
How big are they now?
I don't even know how to. No, yeah, like body wise,
About as big as Tina.
smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're not massive. But then I feed them more than anything else in my room. Like I almost put food in there daily for them in comparison to everything else. Like, I'm a really sparse feeder, especially with my adult animals. I feed my frillies or my leopard, like my adult stuff, twice a week. Like, I feed very sparse. But I feed them more than, like, they're the only things I feed crickets to, because I feed them that often.
Yeah, I had to do that when I had 7 clutches of baby Audacia at once.
Yeah, I'll buy a box of I've got my subscription that comes in once a month that kind of does me for 2, maybe 3 weeks if I spread it out. And I get a box of crickets, or 2 boxes of crickets with them, and that kind of like does them. And then I'll kind of
imagine that two boxes of cricket.
Well,
mate,
yeah, but then
luxuries.
And then when I'm picking up and then when I'm picking up like cat food or something, I'll pick up another box or 2.
Cat
so
food
they've all
for the Kimberleys,
for the pink tanks.
For the pink tanks. So like I'm really enjoying them. I'm really enjoying my green tree. But then, the Timors are just there's just something about them that I maybe might have not had the opportunity to have, and if it wasn't their circumstances of how I got them, I
They
probably
fell in your
wouldn't
lap,
have.
really. Yeah.
But I'm enjoying them, and I think that's why when I'm looking at like quite fancied Kangorum, quite fancied Gillanai, but then I think like it comes down to what would you want more, time or space. Like I am limited on space, so why not keep the stuff that I really, really want? But like I'd love Pilbara. I think Pilbara are fantastic.
Overrated.
I found a pair. I'm in contact with him. He watches the podcast. Hello, I don't know your name, but you know you messaged me because you congratulate me on Solly. So as and when if he breeds them, I'll make sure
Yeah, like I'd
slowly coming into fruition.
like my top three at the moment: Pilbara, Mitchell-eye, and Yellow Trees. I think are the three that above anything else I would want. But yeah, I think the friendships and the friend circles that I now keep definitely play a big part in it, because you kind of bounce off and you want what other people have got. But at the same point, you have to be your own person as well. Like, couldn't care less about mangrove monitors. Like, don't do it for me at all.
Kick it.
Yeah, I'll ban him from his own. You've just lost moderator roles.
Yeah,
you haven't met.
I'll
Solly
just kick
yet,
you from your Discord. No,
I don't mind. Everyone will leave.
But yeah, like I think that's a big part. But like, I've always enjoyed monitors. But if it wasn't for the friendships I had, I probably wouldn't have had the opportunities to get them, to get the ones that I've got, other than my Akis.
That brings me round to where I was going to ask Matt perfectly. So thank you for that, Michael. You and I believe, are in a similar boat, Matt. We're monitor keepers, and now we decide that we don't want to keep monitors anymore. Well, we do, but we want other stuff for some apparent reason. Why do you think that is? Because I know you and I are both itching for something else, even though we don't need it, but there's always that something.
I think it's just variety, really. I think at no point have I ever just had monitors, because even now I think I'm sort of narrowing it down even further with the monkey tail going. I do still have the knobtail, which I'll be honest was a bit of an impulse buy, and I'm not sure how long he will be staying. The problem is I just never see him. It's the same as the monkey tail. Like, unless I come down at 11 o'clock at night, just don't see it. Yeah. And then even when I do see it, it's an angry try to take your finger off. And I have a feeling that the bite on that monkey tail would be way worse than the tree monitors, but I'm not planning to find out.
Yeah, probably.
But I don't know. I think it's always the variety. I think you have to keep a bit of variety. And I think as much as I love monitors, I'm always going to want something else. And there's always going to be something else. Hence the armadillos.
Yeah, well, fishing, because that's what I'm doing. I'm building a gecko wall. But then again, this is going to sound horrible, but if you ever get to the point where you're like, oh, okay, I need to have a bit of a downsize, it's always the geckos that go first, because they take up a lot of time for something that's really small. Mine aren't too bad because they're cricket eaters, my ones. But I have to dedicatedly buy. To be honest, the Stenodactylus, they're amazing. Like the knobtails are not for me. I don't see them, so the knobtails I'm parting ways with. But the Stenodactylus, you might see the odd eye during the day, but Stenodactylus are the best geckos, like, especially because she's a big group of them. So you come into the room at night, and there's a troop of Stenodactylus like wagging their tails, and they chase bugs down. And they're proper cool. So I'm glad I found them, but that's why I'm also thinking I'm taking a bit of a risk. Who's hoarding all this baby CB tree monitors? I don't know if I'm taking a risk on these geckos that I'm picking up tomorrow, but again, as horrible as it sounds, if I don't enjoy them, I can just move them on. But I don't want to keep buying animals for the sake of moving them on, you know. But yeah, I still think something's missing, hence nearly buying Euromastics. But It's just like, why do I feel the need to do it? I'm like, yeah, they're cool. And then I message in the group, and then you're like, oh yeah, I really like Euromastics, or I really wanted these Gur-Eye or Grey-Eye or whatever it's pronounced.
I like the
And I'm like,
Philippines.
yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, they're well cool. And then Fee's just like, no, I don't want them. I'm like, yeah, you said you'll like them.
Yes, you
We'll
do.
get-
It's a done
we'll
deal.
get
I've already
some.
planned to redo half my room.
I'm like, Fee, we can stick them here. Like, you'll love it. You walk in once a month and say hello to them. It'll be great, and everyone will be happy.
The
And
problem
she's
I
like-
find with them is the heat. They require serious heat, and it's the difference, I guess, is because your toad heads are in a slightly smaller viv.
Yeah, it's
Like
easy.
once you said like the
Yeah.
big of, I was like put in. I think I had 250 watt basking spots. I had deep, like just to get the heat anywhere near what it needed to be. It was absolutely nuts.
Yeah, so the summer would be completely fine, but spring
Yeah.
and autumn would be a bit of a nightmare. Yeah, because my
They are
room
cool.
would be hot. But yeah, and long story short, I'm not getting Euromastics.
Yeah.
Yet.
Not this year. Not this year.
Not
to be
until
honest,
AFS.
nah, to be
There's a
honest,
shop on the way that sells Jerry on Sunday.
Jesus Christ. To be fair, until the end of the month, I've got no money. I've got 3 Gilleneye, 5. I've got 5 Gilleneye going end of the month. So I'm gonna have money in my pocket at the end of the month. And that's when it becomes dangerous. Because right now I just can't afford anything. So if something comes up, I'm like, oh, how can I find money? How can I find money? But at the end of the month, I know I'm gonna have money. And it's supposed to be for a new enclosure for Kermit, but knowing my luck, it won't be. It'll be for something.
I think the
completely
import's coming in soon.
That's what I mean, and that's what
I
I'm
think
worried
that's
about.
the hard thing as well. Like how much of I know I'm bad for it, and I know you've done it as well, where you get offered a trade for something, and you're like, well, I'm not really
Yeah.
selling babies at the
It hasn't
moment,
cost me
and
anything. Yeah.
yeah, and you're like, well, I could play with them for a little bit, and all of a sudden you've got God knows what species. You're like, what am I doing with these? But they didn't cost me anything, and the babies weren't selling anyway.
I'm 100% trading everything I breed this year.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants green trees, if anyone's got armadillos,
Just
anything.
offer him a trade, offer him anything. Whatever you've got.
You like
Exactly,
skinks,
child.
don't you?
It's like Rumpelstiltskin. He'll take your firstborn.
I'll trade you some stickers.
Wow. I've still got a bunch of these down here. I need to get a Solly one. Don't worry, guys. I'm messaging the guy. We're gonna get a custom Solly one.
I do
yeah.
regret selling the geckos, but it had to be done. I do regret I had a big dark morph Leechy, which was an absolute beast, and it got me views on Instagram.
That mate, that was priceless. I'm surprised Riddler didn't buy it off you.
I think as well that's why it's good to have friends in the hobby, because you can get to play around with some stuff that maybe, like, we know Paul won't ever keep a snake for more than 6 months.
Best
So,
believe. 6 months is a good run as well.
If he's feeling a bit snaky for a while, send him down something. Or you went on that bit where you're like, oh, agamids are really cool. Like I want some more agamids, and then
I still do.
No.
To be honest, I would take a frilly. I would generally take a frilly.
Yeah.
Just as a pet. I wouldn't be interested in breeding them.
Do you know of any Australians that are in the UK?
Paul, I don't know how true they are, but Paul at Emsworth's got, I'm pretty sure there's an Aussie in there. Just a male. I think.
it's really hard to judge. It would be like
Yeah.
somebody saying they've got red Akis,
Yeah.
and you'd be like,
well, they are.
color, shape, and size. Like there's quite a lot of distinctive features. And I remember, like 10 years ago, on all the forums and stuff, there'd be people that got like, oh, I've got 50% or 75% or 25% or whatever.
You're in.
Like, I love my fillies. They are shoulder dragons. Like I could pull out Spyro right now and he'd sit on my shoulder the entire podcast.
I do miss mine. We had a female, and I went to, I forget his name. It's like Frillies UK or something like that on Instagram. But she had like lovely oranges, and she was, again, she didn't do a lot. She sort of sat there all day, but they are pretty cool. What's the problem with snakes? The problem with snakes is Paul buys them and then Paul decides that they're rubbish, and then I sell them. And it's not fair on the snakes. Fee personally doesn't have an issue with snakes. You find out on my 30th birthday. When's your 30th birthday? Do you know what? This is a complete side quest, but I'm going to say it because you're here and it's in my brain. So, obviously, Viv, you've been doing all the zoo tour things on your YouTube. And me and Fee were like, oh, I wonder if he's going to save Crocodiles of the World until like the final boss and then do like a massive meetup and get everyone there and then just do a vlog day. But you've ruined it because your video next week is Crocodiles of the World. So you've kind of done yourself dirty, really, from a plan that you didn't even know about. But anyway.
Is it a big snake, Viv? Is it a relatively large snake that you're getting?
Honestly, Viv, I'm going to be 100% honest with you now. If you've brought yourself an anaconda, you and I are never speaking ever again. Don't even message me. You need help? Forget it. Anyway.
Let's play Guess the Snake.
Guess the Snake, yeah. Give us a hint. I'm really close to buying a ground boa. Like,
when are you coming to pick it up anyway?
Probably.
Hi, Matt's facing divorce keeping that thing for you.
Yeah, no, don't tell anybody. me and Fee, I said to her, I was like, we weren't busy this weekend, were we? And she was like, we're cleaning the house because we have an inspection. I'm like, I'm gonna look at lizards. She was just like, and I was like, I'm gonna look at lizards, and I was like, I'm not doing a podcast, it's fine. And she was like, no, Paul, I'm looking at the lizards, it's fine, but I technically have plans. Yeah, it's not a snake, yeah. Well, we might stop in a pet shop and buy.
Although technically there are snakes that I think are for sale.
I wouldn't buy them.
That I don't think have sold, but yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah, they're not for me. They're definitely not for me. Yeah, that's why I don't get snakes. I really like snakes. I think snakes are really cool.
Garters are cool.
Yeah, I struggle to keep snakes because I find it hard to make them look small in enclosures because they're big. Like a 4-foot snake in a 4-foot enclosure, depending on the species, sometimes just doesn't look right. And if I've got a 4-foot enclosure, I'd rather give it to something like a toadhead or a gecko. So,
but even like the big, even like what Slytherin have done, where they've got that huge setup for the retic, it just doesn't do it for me.
Had a wedding fair to go to, but no road trip with Matt. Best believe you're gonna look at some lizards. But yeah, I had rough green snakes and I got eggs from them, and sadly the eggs didn't make it. But rough green snakes are sick. I love rough green snakes. And I love that they're insectivorous as well.
Oh, I can give you all the tips from the wedding fair. Essentially, do everything yourself because everything's a rip-off. That is essentially all you need to know for the wedding fair.
We've officially put the deposit down on the venue now, so it's real. So there's no getting out of it now. Well, it's Fee's money, to be honest. I so far haven't put a penny towards it, but we're losing money if we back out of it now. So that's it. We're officially getting married, everybody. Mazel off. Anyway, again, it's just gone on a tangent. I forgot what we were talking about. Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. We were saying about wanting different species. Yeah, to be fair, Michael, you don't really necessarily do that. You're pretty true. Obviously, you have species that you want out, like everybody does, but you don't tend to do. I'm the worst for it, then Matt, then it's you. As regards to like procrastinating to get new species, you're quite good at enjoying what you have. What's the secret?
Variety? I don't know.
Well, yeah, you do. You have the most variety. How many species do you have? Like not individuals, but just as a general species.
Oh,
Matt, tally up in your head as well. We're gonna see who's got the most. We're gonna see who's.
I've got it written down, but I've got it written down on my phone, which I'm currently using, which is no use.
That's fine. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, everyone. This is terrible content. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 13 species.
I think.
What's going on? I'm going to keep up the chat while you're thinking. My local pet store had 2 rough green snakes from Africa. I can't remember what their names were at the moment. Their imports. And he is his ass manager. Oh, he ordered them. I'm still waiting on a ring. Nearly 11 years. Keep reptiles together. Have a kid. But no. Honestly, you sound like Fee. Me and Fee have been together. It'll be 6 years this year. And it'll be the end of the year. So we've been together just over 5 years. Let's say that. And she goes, I've been waiting 5 years. I'm like, I fucking met you 5 years ago. How have you been waiting 5 years? Like, I just met you 5 years ago. She's like, yeah, exactly. So I've been waiting 5 years. Honestly, women, mate. Anyway, I'm cancelled. Last ever podcast. Yeah, I have 13 species, and out of those 13 species, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them are not monitors. It's a quick mouse. I have 7 varanid species and 6 non-monitor species. Yeah.
I think I've got 13.
Yeah, you've got more than me.
So we've got
Got
the same.
six
I've got
monitors.
2 agamids, beardy and frilly. I've got leechy, crested gecko, and chahua. Pink tongue skinks. Leopard gecko, ball python, Bredli python, Aki, Timor, Kimberley, green tree.
Now, out of those species, are there any that you don't really pay attention to?
Bredli.
Yeah. Any reason?
I didn't want them.
Fair shout.
Like,
That's fair.
I also one of them's doing really well. One of them's eating and it's quite cool. But then the other one's still just an absolute, like, I got them really young. Then I also currently keep them in tubs, so they kind of just get forgotten.
A tub any racks?
No. And then, to be fair, after the Bredli, second would probably be between the crested geckos, the leopard gecko, or the chahua. Like, I enjoy all of them. I would never get rid of my leopard gecko. I've had him for donkeys. My crested geckos are cool, and I think once I get a female and like I'm gonna do a really cool, like, big bioactive setup with them and whatnot. I think it's gonna be really cool. And then the chahua obviously was I got it from you, Matt. So it was more of just a kind of, oh, that's really cool, and I am going to take him into work and do something cool so the kids can watch him. But it's hard. And for me, I think I've got quite a lot of diversity, so I can go into my room. I could go into my room right now. I know all my lights. Well, most of my lights are going to be off by now, and I'll still have lots of things I could do, or first thing in the day, or like, I've got a lot of things that eat different foods, for example, which is quite time consuming, and it's quite a lot of different needs and quite a lot of different care. But I also have quite a few species that breed, although I've had success with a couple of them so far. So, like, that idea of wanting to mess around with babies and stuff, but then having your own so you don't need to go out and buy something helps. And I felt the recent Isopod addictions kind of helped with the collecting side of things. Like, I don't feel the need to go out and buy something because I've got whatever.
Because you've got a problem.
Because I've almost always got a species of Isopod being waited to be delivered.
It's just waiting to get paid. You're like, I got my eye on number. Was it lucky number? Is it 12? Got my eye on number 12. Number 12.
Oh, no,
baby.
to be fair,
This time.
it's more that I've always, as soon as I get a delivery, I've almost always then got something else lined up, like something that I've got. I'm just waiting for the next good weather.
Yeah,
but
we'll get back into that in a second because it's in my brain and I will forget. So the antithesis of that, Matt, look at me using big words. You're pretty much just tree monitors nowadays.
Yeah, and a 10 rec.
And a 10 rec, yeah. Congratulations on that. The scam that wasn't a scam. But so your tree monitors, 4 species of tree monitors, Mitchellii, and that's it for Kingorum, but they're potentially looking for new, or they potentially have found a new home. So you're pretty much everything that you have monitor wise, because you've got the monkey tail, and the I
Knob.
forget what species they were. But
Knobtail. Yeah.
well, you got the little finger
Wall
lizards as well.
lizards.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, they're not doing quite so well. Less spoke about, the better.
Okay, so you got a couple of species that aren't, but
That aren't
as
tree
regard-
monitors, but then you're looking at moving them.
Yeah.
yeah. So you're okay. That makes my point perfect. So you're pretty much just going to be keeping tree monitors, but
And Mitchellii.
and Mitchellii. But once upon a time, you did have a bit of a diverse collection, and you had different bits and bobs. You had different feeds and different foods. How do you find that you've started to enjoy your hobby more now that you've downsized a bit and you're streamlined to the point where, because even though your numbers are still relatively similar because you've lost animals but
Yeah.
gained tree monitors, but because everything's a similar care, do you find that it's better or not really? Is the grass greener or is it not?
I miss having the variety, but equally streamlining has made a big difference. So I don't have to worry about the gecko diet every other night, which, yes, it doesn't take that long, but it probably was taking me half an hour to do it all from start to finish. Then when the monkey tail goes, I won't have to do any veg anymore, which is nice because I hate chopping up veg every evening. And actually, I find the monkey tail a bit temperamental. Like I'm always the tree monitors. I go in, if I put food there, they'll eat it. Like no questions asked. Any of the monitors. Whereas the monkey tail can be a bit temperamental. Like some days he just doesn't always eat as much as he should do, and he's not quite eating as well as I would like. Now, don't get me wrong, I've not kept monkey tails before, so I don't have a great experience with them. But
to expect, does it? Right?
it just gives me anxiety. I'm just constantly thinking about, oh my God, it's going to just stop eating and die or whatever. Whereas the tree monitors pretty much without fail will just eat on command, and it just makes life much easier because I can then go round, put a load of locusts or whatever in, and then just go around and feed each viv, and I can pretty much feed the whole collection within, I don't know, 30 minutes.
You got more time to enjoy the animals.
Yeah, exactly. And I can get them out, mess around with them a little bit, try not to get bitten.
You hold them a lot, to be fair, like because obviously you and I have been friends now a good couple of years.
Yeah.
And the last 6 months, you've sent more clips and videos of you actually like interact. And it might just be because tongue is an incredible animal for that. But you are spending more time truly interacting with them, not just maintaining them.
I think before, because when I first had them, I mainly had my Procinus, that was it. And they're okay. And they're still okay now, but they're not as good as my blue tree or tongue coming out. They'll come out quite readily, but that's this classic one. If they come out quite nice and calm, and then once they're out, suddenly they just panic and then just fly all over the place. Whereas actually, like, I can pretty much just pick tongue. To be honest, even the female now is pretty good. She'll quite happily come out. She's not quite as good as he is, but it just makes life much easier. And it's quite good fun just having him out. He'll quite happily sit on my shoulder and walk around for a bit while I spray the other tanks. The only thing that I have noticed started now is they're starting to clock each other where they are because they're obviously opposites. So he can now see the big adult blue tree, which I'm going to have to see how it goes. I might put up something to stop them being able to see each other, but it seems all right at the minute.
You can get them like office dividers. Like
just to put between them. I think they're all right at the minute, but I just need to keep an eye on it, especially now I've moved the other female blue up higher opposite as well because she's a bit smaller. So, but see how she gets on, but she seems all right. It's made a huge difference moving her up high. Like she was really scatty before, whereas now she'll quite happily come out, no questions asked.
Yeah, it's strange. I put the Timors, so I had the Timors individually in 45, 45, 60 Exoterras. And then I put 2 together. And the second I put the 2 together, they were just out together, like out in the open, not scared. And now I put all 3 in a 60, 45, 90 Exoterra. And I sort of expected them to just be really scared. And it's got lots of hides and plants. And I've kind of come to the conclusion that I just don't have the time to socialize them, which I was hoping to do. But they all tongue feed, so I can still do it if I need to. But for the most part, my collection is almost a maintenance collection at the minute, which is quite sad. But anyway, they're so much more bolder. Like they're slightly higher up, but they were off the floor before anyway. And they all sit out together, and I can open the door.
Which viv are they in now?
The one so the toad heads are there, and then Kermit's there. They're in the Exoterra that's in between.
The one that's above in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah. They're 3 foot off the floor. but they were 4 foot off the floor before, but they were 4 foot off the floor in a 2 foot tall enclosure, so they can get up to 6 foot, and now they're 3 foot off the floor in a 3 foot enclosure, so they can still get up to 6 foot. But today I had Kermit out. He went like a lunatic for a cockroach, and he came out. He ended up jumping out, and I got him to climb up my leg, and then he got on top of my head and got spooked, and he jumped behind the vivs, and then he literally went behind every single enclosure I own. And I didn't just want to grab him because I don't want to stress him out, but at the same time, I've got to get him back in because Elijah's bloody feral, and he's running around trying to pet the tree monitor that would make him bleed. And the second I picked Kermit up, he swung around, he's trying to gape and bite me, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. And you get all stressed out, get him back in, and then you sit down and you think, well, I'm not fucking doing that again. Fuck a lot of them. I don't even want to keep lizards anymore. And because I'm so busy with it, it's times like that you think to yourself, like, fucking hell. And then I had a nice little spiritual moment with Bumpy, and I was like, this is what I need. I just need to enjoy my collection rather than just be like, oh my God, everything's a chore. So yeah, I think the grass, no matter what, is always greener, isn't it? Like, you can have lots of animals and it'd be great, and then you have less animals and you want more, and blah 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 blah. But yeah, I find the more I get into it, hence another reason why I'm kind of regretting the geckos, because that's 5 more animals that I now have to deal with. 1 enclosure, but still 5 more mouths to feed. And they're also
insect eaters, are they?
Yeah. So literally that whole stack will eat the exact same size crickets. Except the Stenodactylus, but the Petrii, the toadheads, and the new geckos will eat the exact same size crickets. And they're all kept at the same parameters. And yeah, but it's easy enough done. But I'm like, that's now my baby Aki enclosure gone forever. So now the little Exoterra that I was planning on putting the Candoya in will be my Aki raise up, and also the little Exoterras that I have on top of the thingy. So I've still got raise ups, but before you know it, I'm going to be inundated with clutches of eggs again. So I genuinely, and because of other things that you two know about anyway, but I might stop breeding Akis. Like, this clutch in my incubator could be my last clutch. I might just literally incubate like 2 eggs and just hatch like 2.
Feed the rest off.
Yeah, just stop breeding Akis. Just purely because of space and time and energy. So you still keep my pair, just not hatch the eggs, but we'll see what comes of that. But you know, the hobby, I've never struggled to sell Akis, but the hobby doesn't need any more Akis at this point in time, and I probably don't make money off it. So it's not even like I'm getting anything from it outside of playing. But now I've got Gillenite going, so I can still play with baby Gillenite.
I think Akis will come back. I think you want to be breeding Akis in about 4 or 5 years. I think will be everyone's now. They're currently get about as low as they'll get. Everyone will stop. But it's like bearded dragons all over.
Yeah, I think so. But again, my pair aren't going anywhere. You know, I really enjoy my Akis. They're the only animals I have that I can actually truly handle.
You can't lose Akis.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. But I don't think I'd keep them again outside of my pair passing. But again, they're max 4 and Sven's 6, so I've still got a fair amount of time with them. I'm not massively in a rush. But that brings me, unless you've got anything out, either of you have got anything on that point, because we're going to dip into the Isopod thing quickly.
Well, I was just going to say that I feel that in my collection, almost all of it's maintenance care except the monitors. Where I think that's where I know where my heart lies almost. That I'll set like my my Akis and my Beardy are both on the floor. They're on the bottom of the stacks. I'll sit in front of my Aki Viv for ages, just tongue feeding and mucking around with them, and I'll play with I'll like try and tongue feed the Timors and build a bond there, or I'll be messing around with the Persinus and stuff. Like I'll like that's what I enjoy, and that's kind of what I use my time for when I've got free time in my room. Whereas the rest it's just spray, feed, water bowl, spray, feed, water bowl.
Yeah, it's hard, but I find it hard to bond with animals that you just maintain. Like my wild mangroves. Of lately, the pair have become a bit more out and about, but that's literally the last 2 or 3 weeks. Okay, change the water bowl, feed. Oh, there's one. Oh, it's gone. And then you know, with the geckos, you only see them for 5 minutes at night, so it's hard to get a bond with that. It just feels like you're picking, poo, and cleaning. But like you say, with my green trees, with mango, and with my ackies, I'm always playing with them, and I think I want to try to get my collection to that a bit more, where you're enjoying the time. It's even like the Gillanite, like I haven't really properly seen them for 2 or 3 months because they've been wintering, but they've been out and about today chasing roaches, like bit of breeding activity, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. And it kind of reinvigorates the passion again, because that 2 to 3 months of them going down, it's like, and now they're back out. You're like, oh, cool. So
I'm similar with my pink tongues. I go through these cycles with my pink tongues where, like in January time, I see them, they're out, they're basking all the time, they're feeding. I realize that their viv looks shit, and I'll buy loads of plants and I'll redo it. Then the babies come in start of summer. I rip the viv apart to catch all the babies. And then I mess around with the babies. I kind of forget about the adults a little bit, and then the adults go to sleep for winter. So then I just completely don't mess with them at all. Then the babies go, so I don't have baby pink tongues, and the adults are sleeping. And then the adults wake again in January, and the whole cycle starts over again.
Yeah.
I think one thing that I've found, and I'm watching quite a lot of videos on it just now, and I'm kind of looking at where I can get bits and bobs from, is that I've been gathering quite a lot of hardscape and like lots of different leaf litter and botanics and stuff, and I'm going to order quite a bit of plants, and I'm going to start redoing a bunch of my exoterras just to kind of give myself a bit of a boost that way.
I got a DM that right up your street, but I haven't replied to it. Hello, Paul. We have some great grape wood for your reptiles. The prices we can do for you are really good, starting at X price, X price, X price. Please let us know what you think. So if you want any grape wood, I don't know what a price or good price on grape wood is, but I've been offered some at a good price. So I'll send you the message. I was going to send it to you the other day. I forgot, but I'll send it to you now.
Yeah, that's my I think that's gonna be my big thing. Is I'm gonna start redoing. I think my lychees are gonna be first. Then my pink tongues as well, because they've got no plants just now, and kind of work through it from that.
Yeah. I guess outside of the monkey tail and the knobtail, the rest of your collection is enjoyable for you, Matt.
Yeah. And I can get the vast majority I can get out. Even the baby yellows are getting better now. They'll tongue feed. They'll come out still a bit scatty. And the Kingorum's the same. It's just the stuff that I don't see. So the monkey tail, as I say, to be honest, other than feeding it, I don't see it. I can go a week without seeing that monkey tail. It just doesn't do it for me.
It's hard to build bonds like that. Like when I got the mangroves, I was very excited. Don't get me wrong, I love indicas. I think they're a sexy lizard, but because of the way that I keep them, and I do give them the ability to dig and hide, you just never see them. And it's so hard to bond with an animal that you just never see. Thankfully, with indicas, not like other species, Timors and Kimberleys, don't see them. I see them like, oh, wow, they're stunning, but that's it. With the mangroves, when I do see them, I'm like, oh, no, these are sick. I really like these. But if there's an animal I can't interact with, it just doesn't, they have their places. Some keepers love having an animal that they'll set up an enclosure and it'll interact, and they'll see it interact once a week and they'll love it. But for me personally, that's just not what I want to be keeping.
Dangerous game though is that if that goes, I've then got a relatively large empty viv that I can't put a tree monitor in.
Opens that up for trades.
Because I don't really like keeping tree monitors on the floor, because it's a 5 foot long, 4 foot high, 3 foot deep. And I probably could put a tree monitor in there, but I think it would just be a bit scatty. What
you could put in there is a massive naturalistic enclosure for some waxy monkey tree frogs. Imagine that, 2 of them in there. Wow. you could do a frilly or some sort of a garment. Yeah, that would be a massive fish.
It will probably end up being an Adaptria viv or something along those lines, I think, because realistically, any Indicus is going to be too big, regardless of what comes in. I don't think there's going to be anything small enough. The problem is the Viv there's a Viv above it which pretty much touches the ceiling, so I can't. So I'm literally like wall to ceiling, like I think I've got 2.5 foot between the left and the right Vivs, so barely enough room to turn around.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
Bailey's backgrounds. He couldn't come to your place. He got shoulders on him, shoulders on him like this. So yeah, he came to my place and he was just like, oh my god, wow, it's like great. And I'm like, yeah, it's lucky that I've got the big. Because again, he's like a 3 foot Viv, doesn't fit through doors, so his big massive shoulders. Anyway, that kind of brings me to the point where I wanted to touch on animals that you never see when you keep. Isopods.
Overrated. Move on.
Me and Matt. Hang on, wait. Let's get this right. We're going to probably go on to isopods, and if there's any final questions, everyone, we're not going to necessarily start wrapping up, but I don't really have much else to say, so unless anyone else does. But anyway, you never know where this might go with me because I have ADHD. Who started Isopod Dreams? Was it Matt?
You.
I thought it was you.
Was it me? I only got Isopods because you boys got Isopods. I got the Werner Eye as a mystery, but that was just
who joined the group first? The auction group.
Not me. You boys invited me into that. That wasn't me. I'm not having this. I will not have this slander. I don't. It was not me, and I got into it because of you two.
Oh no, I know who it was. So wasn't it when there were? Was it the Ridgeway raffles?
Huh?
You got Shiro.
Do you remember I bought the Panda Kings?
Oh yes.
And then you went and got more Panda Kings.
Me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He gave me some because I gave him a bunch of electrics.
Yeah. That was a slippery slope.
And then you were like, oh, I like these spiky pineapple ones. And then, oh, I like these ones. And then Fee started buying you them.
To be fair, she never deliberately brought an Isopod. She brought a mystery box from our good friends, Micro Exotics. And Elijah was like, get daddy a weird bug. So she got me the Werner Eye. Anyway, and then it all went downhill for me when I got the shiny Gators and they turned up and I was just like...
That is the most underwhelming purchase I think I've ever had.
And then the guy I sold them to, a friend of mine, he's like having great success with them now. And I sold them to him like dirt cheap. And I was like, fuck. I could have been rich.
I found with those really small species, so I've got white sharks that are similar size, and you do need like 50, 60, 70 of them to really get the effect of when you flip over a bit of wood.
Yeah. Not
you
fine.
need.
Considering it was like, what, 150 quid for 5 or whatever they were?
Oh, ridiculous.
I've got 8 empty boxes above the Vivs, I think.
Yeah.
The
amount of money you spent on them.
Oh, don't go there.
Yeah. Either way, Isopod Dreams, been and done, right? I deleted the banner today. I had a banner called Isopod Dreams, and I deleted it, and I was glad. Anyway, Michael's still real into Isopod Dreams. How you finding the Isopod hobby in comparison to the reptile hobby? Now you're sort of a bit more immersed into it.
We actually had this conversation the other day on one of the group chats, one of the Isopod group chats. Is that like
I've left because it was bad for my soul. So
the general public of invert keepers seem to be a lot more friendly.
Mm.
Or like somebody posts up like a bad setup or something, or somebody asks a stupid question, and it seems to be a lot more.
You got to shoot them down straight away.
Well, see, this is the issue. Because then we were speaking of this. We went like there was a whole conversation about it. People were talking about we were talking about like people are really like they want to help you and they want to kind of see you succeed. When somebody made the comparison to the reptile hobby, where it is just literally you say something wrong and then you just get berated. And then I was talking about the fish tank marine hobby, because you just get these old guys that think that they are the absolute know-it-alls, and actually their care's atrocious. And like, yeah, it's the people are weirder.
The bug people.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Like People that keep
I'm at heart
bugs
a
are
bug person. Yeah, yeah.
people I get on with quite a few of them. Like there's some really really nice people in that community, but there is some characters and some individuals.
You know
Let's
what's
say
weird
that.
about this, right? I can relate to this because I'm gonna out myself now, but I don't care. So when Pokemon Go came out, I was bang right into it because I'm a nerd and I love Pokemon Go. And me and my 2 school friends, the non-weird ones, we'd go out, mooch around children's parks because all the Pokestops were there. Nothing weird about that. 25, 26-year-old men in kids' parks playing on their phones. Anyway, so we were like right into it, and we would go around the local nearest town, which was like our nearest semi-big town because we're quite rural. Anyway, because obviously you're in a congregated area, there's lots of people that are playing Pokemon Go. And some of the people that were playing Pokemon Go, I imagine, were Isopod keepers. And me and my friends were like, I'm more worried about them being in the play park than us being in the play park. But I'll leave that there because I'm definitely going to get cancelled. I'm just joking, everybody. Not really, but also still. So I understand that because I was happy to be part of the community, but at the same time, I was like, I'm ashamed that I'm
talking about Pokemon makes me feel old. I only really know Gen 1 and Gen 2. That's it.
That's what old people say.
You ever played the Isle, Paul? Island? Isles? Isle? No, I don't know what it is. But yeah. And yeah, go on,
I think for me, sorry, that I've always been a terrible invert keeper.
Yeah.
Like I am notoriously bad at keeping inverts alive. So that's why I didn't want to delve too deep. Yeah. Your partner being one of them. But yeah. I've spoke to him before. Oh, nice.
One of us.
But yeah, so I'm a terrible invert keeper. I can't keep them alive. I've got no interest in them. I'll always the amount of stick insects and mantises and all those other weird and wonderful that I'm like, oh yeah, I could look after them, and they just.
How are your katydids? Okay, moving on.
Yeah, stuff like that.
I didn't know that, but yeah.
Oh, just nothing. I can't keep anything. But I think it's I'll lose interest, or so it's just they're not for me. I like a lot of the different invert species, but they're not for me. So when I started getting into the Isopods, I was like, right, don't go too well, because I've kept loads of Isopods before, mostly cleanup crew, and then I've let it all dry out, as what Matt's doing currently, but with a lot cheaper species. So I because I know the amount or the value in my Isopod collection at the moment, it really pushes me to make sure that I care for them correctly, or at least acknowledge they're there.
Yeah.
Do you know I might just empty them all into the Tremont of Ivs and just free for all it.
Michael's having palpitations.
All 2 of them.
I think now, though, Matt, because I keep most of what you keep now. But if you said that a few months ago, I'd be like, holy shit, Matt, what are you doing? And I think I've got my collection to a really good place. I've got quite a lot of what I want. There's, again, lemon blues are the only thing at the moment that I'd be like, I really want those. I've got decent numbers of most of the species. And then
just chuck them all in together.
The
Isopod. He's like, Isopod, was it? Free for all, gladiators. The strongest will be sent to Scotland.
Matt's going to walk into his reptile room and just see a 20-pound Isopod just walk along the floor.
I mean, that's 20 quid more than I've seen in the last week.
Yeah.
So,
money. On that money off them. Are they fast fads? They're going to come up and down in price. New species come in.
I think the price has got to go down, hasn't it? Now it's
basically every time there's a new import, 3 or 4 new ones come in. They start up at the very top.
Yeah.
And then the price trickles down. The issue is that the people that are doing it for profit are undercutting each other quite a lot. So you can see something that was maybe £100 last week. Somebody says, oh, I'll do it for 90. So the next person will go, well, I'll do it for 80. And all of a sudden it's dropped 20, 30 quid.
Within like a
Because it's
week
like,
or
what a
whatever.
rubber
Yeah.
duck. You know,
Oh, duckies you could get for 60 quid.
for 5,
For-
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Riddler must have paid 120 quid when he
Oh,
got his.
but then I think you always get
a lot of UVB for the money he spent on them duckies.
so it's a tricky one because my collection has grown substantially over winter, but I'm now at a place where I just want to leave them, let them. Like I'm starting to get a few babies here and there, which is quite cool. And then come spring/summer, I'm going to trade out the stuff that are doing really well for the stuff that's maybe low in numbers to try and boost up the groups I've got and just keep the species that I've got. Like I say, there's lemon blues I really want. Quite fancy some blonde duckies, but then it's a case of that I'm out of space without getting rid of more of my storage setups. I would need to move a species, and I've done that. Like I've put my penguins in with my crested geckos. I put my Shirutsi in with another bioactive enclosure. Like I've started like kind of almost pecking ordering it. Like the cheaper ones are going into setups, and that's now just like the top end stuff that's tubbed.
I think I'm going to put my duckies in with my Resingeri. I think that I just don't see them. Even if I don't even know if they're still alive. To be fair, I think I had 10 at one point.
I took it. So I took a dip where I got some caramel creams, and they're ones that I really wanted. Like they were ones that I went out of my way to make sure I got. I really wanted them, and there's the first time that I've had some arrive where there's been some deaths, and then a week later there was maybe one left. I think that really stung because like I've got some before, and I'm like, oh yeah, they're cool. Like let's hope they do well. But those were ones that I was like, oh for fuck's sake.
My cappuccinos did that. I pretty much had, I think I had 6, and they were all dead within about a week.
Yeah. And I think that was the first time that I was like, right, I need to slow down. I need to stop because you can just sink stupid money. And like I say, I'm not a very good invert keeper. So like I've got them set up. I've got them set up well. But it was when I got the Marinella species where I got the bloody 40 quid an isopod pink lemonade. Yeah. And you're just like, you look at these bugs and you're like, what on earth am I doing?
They're still alive.
Big money.
I think so.
Thing is with isopods though, as long as you've got them set up relatively okay, you can just kind of forget about them.
That's what I'm hoping.
Not
the
to
issue
the
is if
point
they dry
maybe
out.
that you've done, Matt. But what I'm saying is like a little bit of maintenance once a week, whereas some bugs need misting daily and bits and
I
want to do katydids again. Like I really want to do katydids properly and dedicate like up in here, like this corner here, like get some habitat enclosures and get them up in here, or even like the meshing. I don't know what's best. I need to see, but really try to get katydids
And cook them again in the summer.
Yeah, best believe. That's what happened to all of mine. I lost the best part about £300 worth of cockroaches in the heat wave last year. But yeah, long story short, I want to do a stick insect species, and I want to do katydids really, really well. But I also don't really have the capabilities. But I need to try and figure it out.
Yeah, I lose interest too quickly. I think I start off with big plans and then quickly fade away.
Yeah,
that was my issue with a lot of inverts.
Yeah,
like I keep looking at blue death fanning beetles. I'm like, well, they're really cool. But then I'm like,
you need a desert species of scorpion to keep them with.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, that would be a really cool setup. But then I forget to water my the rows of what's the plant thing?
I used to have some of them, what they call black beauties. I had some of them. They all died.
What was it? The jungle nymphs you gave me. They were going really well. Then until we had the heat wave and they didn't make it. I'm gonna cryptically ask Michael, how is the tub of pod doing?
I'm still alive.
That's all. That's good. That's better than what Matt's given me and I've done with his bug. So that's going well. Hello, Lincoln. Thank you for tuning in. Good evening, everyone. I just recently started watching the video, learning lots of things. Learning lots of things, but you can't wait until I get my own pet. Well, maybe not listen to us because we're all a bunch of idiots, but I appreciate you being here.
I end up with rooms of pets.
Yeah, and my advice is don't rush. Just get what you want.
And don't be forced into buying an animal that someone else says you should get.
Yeah,
Get
don't
what
get
you
a
want.
bearded dragon just because it's a beginner reptile. Unless you want a bearded dragon, because
Or if Paul tried to sell you Gil and I.
I'm not trying to sell anyone. Honestly, I've got the correct monopoly on Gil and I sell people Gil and I. Everyone posts about how great Gil and I are. And then people are like, oh, wow, Gil and I, where'd you get them from? It's like, oh, they call filters all back down to me. And I've even got a little bit of a waiting list at the minute, which is quite nice. So, yeah, they're actually terrible lizards. And I've just lied to you all.
For the year, 4 people messaged me about Timor monitors.
Nice.
I was like, I only recently got my trio. And they're like, oh, well, if you have babies, can you let me know? Blah, 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 blah.
No, because I'm having the first dibs on babies, everybody.
Yeah, they're going to be hard to let go.
Get on, so boring.
Gil and I so boring.
She's a hater, mate. Honestly, she really is.
Can you kick her?
Can't what from the chat?
I can mute her.
In real life. To be fair, the adults, the last 3 months have been incredibly boring. They don't do anything because they're wintering. So
if Gil and I were bright green with a bit of pattern, they would literally be like everyone would want them. It's just the fact
they just look the same as they did as babies, let alone being green. Yeah, she honestly, considering Gil and I are currently our biggest money makers, she's a terrible salesman. She's gonna be like, Matt, Paul won't be allowed out on Sunday. They just do nothing. The adults in winter don't do a lot.
To be fair, your mail's a bit lazy, isn't he?
Oh, mate, he does nothing. Like,
goes out, does deed, it goes back in.
Basically, unless he wants to have sex, he does not leave his court tube. He doesn't bask. And if to feed him, he won't come out for food. He waits for bugs to come to his hole of his court tube. He just does not come out. The 2 females have been out and about today. The babies are non-stop. Babies are just here, there, and everywhere. I'm interested to see how the babies transpire because obviously I got mine as adults, so you don't know kind of how they've been kept and other bits and bobs. So I'm interested to see how the babies develop and if they slow up like my big fat male, which was supposed to be a female when I brought them. But anyway, yeah. So Gil and I are
Have I DC'd or is Paul?
No, it's Paul.
Hello, I'm back. I think it might have been transfer of internet. I basically just said, in case people didn't hear me, I need a good friend of mine to breed black trees, and then I think I'm happy and I'm done. Yeah, once I get some Beckerai in my life.
The male's pretty keen at the minute.
Knowing my luck, though, I'd eventually get a Beckerai, and it'd be the most anti-social lizard in the world.
And you've passed up on all of these like really nice, friendly
had
adults
opportunities, and I'm like, I'll wait, and I'll get one, and honestly, it'd be nastier than mango, and I'd be like, but yeah, like most men, I don't know what's happened. What did I say? Oh, doesn't
You're
move.
talking about Gil and me.
They won't move unless they want sex. Yeah, facts. Lazy and horny sounds about right. Okay, everyone. Well, unless anyone has any more topics in the chat, Matt or Michael, have you got any more topics? I don't really have much else to say because, like all these podcasts, these ones I should probably script because we talk every day, so it's hard to think of something that we don't talk about and that we can talk about publicly. But we've got 2 hours out of it, so I don't think it's too bad. But yeah, unless
when's the new merch coming out?
Mate, I've had old merch for about, I still need to cancel that because it costs us £25 a month and no one buys it, which is fine. It's fine, all right? I'm not bitter. But I do need to just do a free, like a Teespring store or something, and get those on merch.
I've got mine.
Those, but I'm gonna get the solid one. Oh yeah, I got custom notepads now. Fee got me a custom notepad, which I don't have on me, but yeah. And I'm gonna get a custom Solly sticker from our dear friend Mike. Not Mike in chat, other Mike, artist Mike. He's also done art from a Jurassic Park game, so he's famous.
Did you buy the game?
No, it was like 35 quid,
Shocking.
and I was like, Elijah's just gonna lose all the bits, and I'm not gonna keep the box. So it's just a waste of 35 quid. But I didn't. Christmas is expensive enough. But anyway, I don't know, mate. I'm the worst influencer in the world. I set up this whole new enclosure, which I'm super proud of, and it looks great. And did I film any of it? No. So I really
I would have had 4 videos out of that.
I was gonna say
4-part series. I really want some of those stickers Michael's showing off. Have you not got
these?
any?
I'm pretty sure these have got names attached because I still need to send them to people that helped contribute to them.
Do you know what's funny is when that happened in August, you were like, "Oh, I'm going to deal with that with you, Paul," because rightfully so. You'll forget to send them out, Paul, because you're lazy. Blah 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 blah. ADHD. Blah 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 blah. Completely correct. I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
Well.
same.
To be fair, I lost them for a long
turntables
time, and then I was sending some stuff to Dan, and I was like, "Oh, I'll send you the stickers that I owe you." And then I remember I went to post the stuff because he got him. I ordered him a poster and stuff when I was ordering this T-shirt, and I was like, I don't actually know where those stickers are, and I raked and I raked and I raked and I raked to try and find them. So I know.
Here you go, Repty Chat. There's 3 that you can have your name on. Boom, sorted. Yeah, I don't know, mate. I'm a terrible influencer, but I need to book AHH first. I probably should do that soon.
Yeah, this set's Mike's. I've got Mike's address. I just need to send it to him. And then I've got 4 sets here. 1 set's mine, and then the other 3 I can't remember. I do have a list, and I've got the addresses. But I went to I went to go post something recently internationally, and I have to fill out this whole fucking form to do it. I'm just like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Paid a tenner for say that you need more interest in bugs. I'm here for it. Thanks, Freddie. Love you. Fee sorted me out within a week. Honestly, Fee is the best secretary in the entire world.
Yeah.
Did we send you I can't remember what happened, Bam. Did you not just slide into Fee's DMs and be like, Ridda said I'm sexy, send me some stickers? And Fee was like, okay. And that's kind of how it went. But yeah, need to book AHH. Need to book the hotel.
I filled out my holiday forms for those. I've done AHH and I've done IHS.
Yep. Still haven't got my rota.
BH coming through. Super chat. Yeah, so I need to pay. I need to get some money in my bank account before I can do it. Well, all jokes aside now, this is kind of probably a private conversation, but I don't really care because it's not serious. Is there a date on? Obviously, the hotel would be more pressing, but you can book tickets like right up until the event, can't you?
Yeah, it's just whether or not the event sells out.
Yeah, because I missed out last year because I think it sold out. Because I just sat back, and then eventually could get the time off and couldn't. I think it was like pretty close to the time. I think as long as you book in a few weeks in advance.
We booked in January last year.
Yeah, we did book in January last year. Yeah, we booked the hotel later though, didn't we?
Yeah, and it was more expensive, so we should really get that now. But my flights are pretty cheap right now.
Give me like 2 or 3 days, and I can pay you money to pay for it. I know we don't need the membership card. That's IHS, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
not September.
There's one in the south one
here in there.
April.
I think it's April.
There's one, yeah. So the south's in April. Then there's the other one that's in June or July, but I'll be too busy.
Too busy.
Yeah,
too busy.
Yeah. Literally too busy. Yeah.
I was sorting out these dates, and I was saying to Anne, I was like, "Oh yeah, it's for." She's like, "When's that?" And I was like, "September." She's like, "And you're going away for the weekend?"
She's like, "I hate you."
I was like, "You've got about 3 weekends planned before then."
Yeah, exactly. Before Michael, Jesus.
No,
Yeah.
as in like after,
Oh,
but
I
before
see, I
IHS.
see.
Where is
Yeah.
the Southern one this year? I've forgotten where it is.
I'll have a look.
It's because I
About
think
2 hours.
it's about 2.5 from me. I think 2.5, 3 hours.
2 hours for me, yeah. What am I looking for? IHS. Anyone know in the chat? Anyone going? Someone asked me if I was going the other day, and I was just like, "Oh, I don't know."
To be fair, we need to book something else for a Crocodiles of the World trip so that I can use my voucher.
Was that valid for a year, isn't it?
Yeah, so I need to do it before October. So I'll be at least one more trip down.
We do need to do a Crocodiles of the World day. I don't know where it is. I also really can't be bothered to look. It's about 2 hours up.
Yeah.
It's enough. It's enough so you could just do it in the day. You could just leave early anyway.
Which is very exciting for you guys.
I generally don't know if I'm going to go.
I might do because it might be different stuff there. And if you can do it in a day, it's much easier.
Yeah, but let's put it this way: if you were working, or if I had Elijah or whatever, I wouldn't. I wouldn't really. Paul's going for his big birthday. Yeah, I'm 30 this year. If you're here every week but you're not in the Discord, what are you doing with your life? Go subscribe to Paul's Monitors on Patreon and join the shenanigans. Yeah, baby. Yeah, we could look for an August trip, Michael, if it works for you. Might be a bit close.
Well, I think it's a bit close because I've got August off for the IHS. It's just really annoying that the Monday after IHS is not available.
Yeah.
So I might need to book.
I don't have any strings I can pull. To be honest, I'm not in that pie. So
No.
Yeah, we'll sort something out. Crocodiles of the World. We'll do a Crocodiles of the World trip. We'll announce it on social media so everyone can come. And then
Watch me feed.
Watch Michael feed a Komodo, and then Riddler and Viv won't be inviting themselves because technically I would have invited them.
Are you actually, Phil?
No. Oh, what did I say the other day? I said like something to Riddler. I was like, wait until you meet Kermit or something like that. And he was like, does that count as you not inviting me, or you inviting me, not inviting? I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. 30, you've got some catching up to do. I'll be 39 this year. Danger close to big 40. You know what that means? Yeah.
Midlife crisis. Buy a big monitor.
I had my midlife crisis at 25, so I'm all good. So that means I'm going to die at 50. Hoorah.
I wonder if he wants that wedding quickly.
I'll come if you want me there. Playing the victim now. Yeah, V's been wanted it for the last 5 years. She can marry me for all my money that I don't have. There's a new guy at work. He said this is completely random.
Oh, he's gone again.
Yeah. Well, thanks everyone for coming. I'm sure there was wrap-up questions.
I can still see me. Am I here?
You are
you're here now.
I could see me the whole time. Anyway, we will wrap up on the wrap-up. There's no wrap-up questions. Anyway, because my internet's dying, it looks like the Wi-Fi's out. Right, everyone, this is a big risk, but I am going to drop my Wi-Fi, so I'm going to disappear for about not even a minute, and it will kick into the Ethernet cable hardwired, and I'll be fine. Okay? And if not, Michael will professionally wrap this podcast up, and I'll see you next time. So give me not even give me 10 seconds. I'll be back, all right?
I'm trying to think of what his wrap-up questions were. If you could leave one piece of advice.
Stay as still as you possibly can. Just don't move.
And we're back. I can still hear you. I was here the whole time. Come on, man. We're back. Right. Anyway, there's a new guy at work, and we were just having like a joke. Blah blah blah. And this. It's been too long since I was going to tell this story now, so it's all irrelevant. But we were talking about me marrying me for my money. Anyway, he was like, "Oh, don't make me take your lunch money." I was like, "You take my lunch money, you're going to end up in debt." But that's all irrelevant now. Freezing in the fluffy jumper. Haha. So I haven't got any new wrap-up questions, but I'm going to make them up on the spot. What is one thing? We'll start with Michael. Oh. We'll start with Matt. What is one thing you would like to see change in the reptile hobby? That I guess is kind of realistic, not necessarily like, but I don't know. I'm making it up on the spot.
Oh, I got one.
Go.
I'd like more variety. And I think it's stemming that way. I think a lot of people are moving away from like being just solely ball python breeders or solely crested gecko breeders, and they're maybe having a few side projects and stuff that are a bit more interesting. But I think seeing the kind of the small little nichey bits at IHS the last couple of times I've been, and seeing how well they've sold out or sold compared to the regular staple bread and butter stuff, I think it's going that direction. But yeah, I'd like to see people working with some more different things. And I think people are committed enough to the hobby to start bringing those things in as well. I know it's more harder now with Brexit and a lot more hoops to jump through to get there, but I think there's people that are dedicated enough to want to introduce new species or reinvigorate species into the UK hobby.
That's a fair answer. Also, just quickly, don't worry, Amy, you're not the oldest here. Riddler's 48, so it's fine. And actual freeze, not ADHD freeze this time. It was funny because the last podcast, I don't think you were around, Matt. I think you were at work. But basically, I was reading a comment and I got so fixated on the comment that I generally froze, and everyone was like, "Oh, he's frozen," and I didn't realize they were joking, and I thought I'd actually froze. So I was like, "What? Am I here?" And then, I was gonna say Ben's balls, but he's dead. Repti chat, bless him, actually messaged me to be like, "No, you're fine. They're joking." And Fee wants to see less pools monitors in the hobby. More pool, less monitors. More fee, less pool. Well,
these geckos.
Be careful what you wish for.
Fees your mastics.
Fees your mastic, yeah.
Fees co-host.
Fees co-host, yeah. We're gonna Fee, we're gonna use you for your body, all right? Matt, one thing you would like to see change in the reptile hobby?
Controversial opinion. I think it's going that way anyway. But I want to see the whole Royal Python market what it is today, not as in all Royal Pythons go, but what it is today of people having hundreds of Royal Pythons. Because I think as much as there are antis, and I don't agree with what a lot of them say, I don't think we're ever going to be able to defend keeping Royals in racks. Like, keeping 100, like when you've got your average guy keeping 100 Royals at home.
Well, fucking take them all.
And it's not that I'm against Royals. I think Royals are great, but I just don't, when every man and his dog has got 100 Royals or whatever and is trying to breed them, I don't know what is going to happen. I think so. I was looking the other day on Morph Market. There's 9,500 Royals on Morph Market in the UK or something stupid. Like, where are they going?
I had a conversation with a work colleague, and it's relevant. Before I go off on a tangent, okay. I posted a video of my daughter on social media spraying one of my enclosures, and she commented on it like in person. She was like, "Oh, like I seen the video. It's really cute. Your room looks really cool. It almost looks like a mini zoo." I was like, "Yeah." It's like, "What did you think?" She said, "They knew I kept a lot of reptiles, but like I've seen these photos before, or like videos or photos." And it's just like loads and loads of animals in drawers. And she's like, "I don't get it. Like drawers." I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Are they actually drawers?"
They're racks. Come on.
And I was like, "Yeah, like there is people that keep like big industrials, like sterile enclosures with lots of animals in drawers." And she's like, "Yeah." So like, I seen that, like, and I have no idea how she's seen a rack or seen videos of racks, because she's completely non-existent in the reptile. She squealed when I took out one of my snakes. Do you know what I mean? Like, completely just general public.
Yeah.
But she was aware of that.
I think that's what get broadcast, isn't it?
Yeah. So she must have seen like the Sun newspaper or like one of these newsprints that run the anti stories, and they kind of used the photos of people in just rooms full of just drawers. Because yeah, like when she was seen, she was like, oh, because you've got like labels and you've got like little like information plaques and like they're all nicely decorated and stuff. I was like, well, yeah. She's like, it does look like.
What's this? Lights? You have lights?
Yeah, I was just like, she was like completely flabbergasted because she thought when she knew I kept a lot of animals, she just presumed a lot of animals crammed in not nice conditions.
It's just
I was like,
indefensible.
no, it's yeah.
Yeah.
But I think give it 10 years. My concern is I don't know what's going to happen with all these royals now, because suddenly the bubble has popped, and now there's these people who consider themselves hobbyists with 100+ royals who are now have got no idea what to do with them.
You opposed to reptile feeders?
No.
Superfood. They'll become the new what was it, horse burgers.
Everyone will buy a big king cobra.
It'd be
Job done.
Something silly like feed off a normal £5, but if you want a super het, less than a Harvey, Enchi, clown, cinnamon, ghost, pastoral, pinstripe pied, head wobble, then it will cost you more. I'm feeding it to my lizard. I don't care what it looks like.
Color of your lizard.
Literally, I can see it now. Oh, my lizard only likes eating pied royals. He's fussy. Like you get the royal keepers.
You get those royals that only eat
rats.
Yeah.
Only eats white rats. Yeah, won't touch the brown ones. Well, then your snake is racist. Anyway, I don't know where this podcast goes. Jesus Christ. But yeah, I'm not opposed to. People that don't know me, like know me, watch this. They probably think like, what the fuck is this guy?
I think the issue is that there's such a commercialized version of the hobby for royals that it is very much like you see all the time these people that get into it and they're like, oh, like I've just spent a couple £100 and I've bought 6 bloody snakes and I'm going to start producing 20 babies a year. And you're like, you know, nothing that you produce is even going to touch the sides of what people actually want.
But you can pay £35 a month for someone to tell you what to breed.
Join the Patreon. Not mine.
Paul will quite happily tell you what animals to pair.
Oh yeah, I can teach you. I know Royal 101. I know how hats work. I did science. I'm gonna out her now, but I don't really care. So you know you've been talking to Fee about tokays and that. She was like, do you reckon if I ask him enough stupid questions, he'll just stop messaging me? And she didn't mean it like nastily, but she was deliberately being like, she was like, I think they're good questions, but they're dumb. And then she was like, he's asking me to ask you about a het. I think my plan's working. I'm like, it's not working because now I have to tell you what a het is. She was like, so I was just like, how the fuck do I explain het in Fee terms?
Well, that's what I was trying to get. I was like, oh, here's the video.
And that's what she said. She's like, he's sending me a video. And I was just like, oh my God. I was like, are we getting tokay? She was like, I don't think so. I was just like, what is going on? You should get a
free roaming tokay. Just let it roam around your room.
Honestly, it was her that said she wanted tokays.
She said she wanted Euromastics. She didn't even say she wanted Euromastics.
Oh, she actually said she said she wanted tokay geckos.
I think the moment you get the green light, pull the trigger. That's the key. No waiting around.
I scream with them. And then he sent me YouTube videos trying to teach me the science. The problem is, like, when I had tokay geckos back in the day, like, I'd deal with mango. Cool, right? Tries to kill me. A tokay gecko barking in a cork tube. I'm literally like, ah! And she finds it hilarious. So that's why she wants tokays again. But yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. I was going to say something about that. I don't know. Frill Dragons. We got a green light for Frill Dragons. You both fell for they're cool.
No. I said I want tokays, and Fee was like something about tokays, and I went, we should do a joint project, Fee, and she went, yeah, that sounds cool. Oh, that sounds good, or something. Like she agreed to the tokays. It wasn't a case of, oh, that's cool.
Maybe she loves you more than me. I don't know.
Mm.
Either way, I would like for the reptile hobby. I would like people to start being kinder to each other.
Nah, fuck them.
After we've just had a massive rant saying fuck all Royal Python breeders.
Yeah, but they're not part of my hobby, so it's fine. I had to make Ben and Ridley get rid of the rack just so I could be associated with them. You know what I mean? Bad for my image. All jokes aside, though, like you say, like with I guess with the Isopod, well, you post a terrible setup and people don't jump down your throat. I would like, because in my honest, humble opinion, if you're attacking somebody for their setup, like you generally, regardless if you think you care about the animal or not, you don't care about that animal because the animal will never benefit from you attacking somebody. The only thing that will benefit is your ego. So I have no time for that, and that's why I don't go on Facebook, because I just have a bunch of ego seeking people. So I just don't
post it in our group chat.
Yeah. So I try my best to stay away from it, and you are literally like on it. You're like, Paul, have you seen this? I'm like, Matt, no, you know I haven't seen this, or I have.
But you need to get on that.
Yeah,
you need to go jump down that person's throat right now.
Yeah, he's like, Paul, you can't tell them. They're saying mangroves don't need dirt. Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's what I would like. That won't happen, but that is what I would like. I'm trying to improve my husbandry of all the primordials.
Good choice.
I do think I can, right. I think, like I say, I think you started off, not you personally, but with the animals you got. I think you were on the back foot anyway. And your setups were absolutely incredible, mate. So I think for you, it's only up because you're in a really good spot anyway. Well, yeah, that's me done pretty much. Has anyone else got anything final? But yeah, links are in description.
How do you reckon I should set up the Tenric? Because Bailey's coming down soonish.
Anyone in chat? We got 20 odd people. Anyone in the chat experience with Tenrex? I like the idea of like a higher platform.
Yeah.
And then like a big enough cork tube. So utilizing on the top and inside of it, and then they can go up and then maybe having like a shelf at the back or something like that. What's he doing background wise? Is it shelf? Is it a shelf?
I think it's just a relatively basic background. I've given him free roam, to be fair. I don't know if he's still in chat.
He was only in earlier, I think.
Yeah.
It keeps the questions coming. If there's any questions, I'll get to the chat in a minute. Yeah, I don't know loads about them. Michael, do you know a bit more about Tenrex? Because you're kind of a mammal nerd.
Hi.
More than
Aren't they semi-arboreal?
They are.
Yeah.
But I think
the one that I've got, it was clearly very well loved, but it's sort of needs its claws trimming because they're sort of curling back on themselves. It looks like it's probably got a bit of a skin condition. So I'm going to have to take that to the vet, I think. But I'll leave it till it's a bit more awake in the spring.
Yeah. I think it's hard because it's went down for winter.
Yeah.
You don't know the individual animal to really know what it'll utilize. But from what I've heard, yeah, height's quite important for them.
Yeah, cool tubes. Maybe even like just like one branch at the front, like the branches that you have in your tumor vivs that you buy from the shops, like the corky style branches, so you can actually grip onto them. Like a couple of them would be pretty cool, and then a sandbar so it can sit and scratch its back for the sand. But I think just a couple of platforms so it can get up, get hide, and like a couple of bigger vertical and horizontal branches so it can bumble along. I think would be good. But
I'm quite looking forward to it being active. At the minute, it's just in the viv behind me, just like never comes out.
Yeah, I think that they are nocturnal as well, aren't they?
Yeah. Are they fully nocturnal?
Or are they crepuscular?
I think so.
Yeah.
I have to get that get that luminize up in there. You probably see more from it, to be fair.
Yeah.
The dawn and dusk hours. Okay, right. So what we got? Honestly, getting rid of the rack. Jesus Christ, I've clicked the wrong thing. Honestly, getting rid of the rack was the best thing I've ever done, despite a few small meltdowns over the last few weeks. Welcome to monitor keeping. I have a friend who works with Tenrex and dabbles in breeding them. He did lose a female last year. Gave birth a few minutes. That's pretty good going.
That's pretty cool.
Diurnal. Are they diurnal? I thought they were nocturnal. Anyway, right, question. Do you think selling proper starter kits at big chain stores will help the hobby immensely? Right, so I'll say my opinion on this. We'll get your opinions on this. My opinion on this, there's two sides to this. Side one, you got, let's say, 10-year-old Paul going into a pet shop for the very first time, and I want to get a corn snake. So a correct starter kit for a baby corn snake, how long's a piece of string? What are we saying? Are we saying a Fornarium and a heat mat is correct? Are we saying a 2-foot Viv, UVI, UVB, and UVA is that correct? With a thermostat. But the difference between those two is the corn snake and the wooden vivarium with the UVB and the halogen and the dimming stat and blah 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 is going to be £300 to £400, whereas a Fornarium and bits and bobs is going to be like £100. Now, my parents might go, yeah, cool, no worries, £400 or £500 for your first pet snake when you're 10, yeah. But majority of parents are going to go, no, fuck that. That's ridiculously expensive. You're not getting your snake. Now, is that the right answer? Again, can be debated that we shouldn't be letting these people have the pets. Okay, fine. But then, are you stopping kids getting involved with the hobby and invigorating passion to become older, better, influential people in the hobby? Because they were priced out as kids, but then the animal welfare obviously has to be a priority. So I do think there has to be obviously some ideal of a minimum, but what that minimum is obviously going to depend on different species, and then every starter kit would have to be tailored to said species. And obviously you can't put a baby corn snake in a 4x2x2, so they've still got to buy a Viv. So after they've just spent 400 odd quid on the thing, they're like, okay, well, you can keep the electrics, but you got to replace this UVB every 6 to 12 months. Now you're going to have to buy a bigger Viv in 2 years' time, and the cost keeps going up and up and up and up and up. And it's easy for us to sit here as adults with jobs because we can buy what we want, but you're then pricing out kids because especially if your parents don't get it, like mine don't. Like, for example, if my son wanted something, I'll go and get him all the bells and whistles because I'm in the hobby. But
I remember my first starter kit. It was a
rubbish.
Pets at Home bearded dragon starter kit, 3-foot Exoterra, so 3 foot 45.
Yeah,
with a heat rock.
Sick.
And we're talking.
What's wrong with that?
15 years ago. I still have the Viv. That's what my pink tongues are in now. But yeah, that was my first. And then the bearded dragon I got was a juvenile, so it was quite half decent size. And then within a year, I waited like that. I got that for Christmas, and then the following Christmas, I got a 4x1.5 by 1.5 Viv. Lived in that for a year, and then I got a 4x2x2 a year later. It was a lot of money spent because other than like obviously the Viv now has been able to be utilized, but none of the equipment. It was all like coil, UVB, and it's like none of it was appropriate. I think shopping in a good shop that's able to recommend to you the correct equipment and explain to you at what point, because in an ideal scenario, if I'm selling you an animal, and the ideal way would be that I would like to see the adult enclosure that you're going to put it in when it's fully grown. Nobody's going to have that from the beginning.
No.
And you might get away with like a bearded dragon putting it in a 4x1.5 by 1.5 or something, because they're quite outgoing and they're quite, the babies will move around a lot and stuff like that. But for the most part, you need to upgrade slowly. And yeah, like you say, it's too expensive for most people to then, because these companies are going to want to do everything. So they're going to put in the calcium, they're going to put in the substrate, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. But then for most people who are selling, I remember I used to sell starter fish tanks all the time and be like, yeah, so the stuff that's in it's crap. Sorry, but you're going to have to buy this, this, and this. Even though it comes with it, you're good. I recommend that you get this, this, and this. No point.
I think my concern as well is if you had individual shops putting together their own starter kits, is at the end of the day, it all boils down to shops need to make money. And actually, are they going to say, here's a starter kit for a Royal Python that will cost 120 quid, where someone's likely to buy it? Or actually, no, you need a 4x2x2, you need UV, you need this, 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 and this. This kit costs 400 quid. Actually, they're just going to offer the cheaper because they're going to sell significantly more snakes. And at the end of the day, it does boil down, they have to make money. And I think if they were to put starter kits out there at 500 quid, I think a large proportion of their income would disappear, because not many people are happy to spend 500 quid.
No, I don't buy setups new now.
No,
like I buy second hand. And again, big chain. The problem is America's a little bit different because you guys have bigger and more populated big chain pet stores. We only really have like 2, and only one of them stocks reptiles, and even then, in some places they've stopped because they're not allowed to anymore because they were just caring for them so badly.
Mine's still got a
Yeah.
lot. And to be fair, they've got all the habitat starter kits. That's all they sell is the habitat stuff.
Our ones down here are all Exoterra.
I was going to say we're Exoterra.
No, I'll take photos next time, but yeah, it's like the habitat, like for like the tarantulas and leopard geckos, and like we've got the Exoterra stuff, but what they do is like for like the wooden like 4x2s and stuff, or the 4x whatever it is. Yeah, it's all habitat equipment.
I didn't even know Habitat made Vivs until the other day. They made like proper like Viv exotic vivariums, like big vivariums. Anyway, yeah, it's a hard one because obviously, like I say, what do you put first? The kid getting into the hobby, or because I was in a pet shop the other day, a reptile pet shop, and Habitat leopard gecko starter kits are much better than the starter kits we have in the USA. But that's again though, like a starter kit if you ask 10 different reptile keepers for a starter kit, they're probably going to recommend you 10 different things. And me and Michael were talking about the other day in a slightly different circumstance. But for example, I like X brand substrate. Well, Michael's used this brand substrate. Both are probably fine, but you're going to get different recommendations because you're only used to what you're used to. And I know some people love Reptile Systems UVB. I just use Arcadia. It's the same. I said to someone the other day, it's like tools when you go to work. I started my apprenticeship on DeWalt, so I just used DeWalt. I'm sure there's a million other great tools, but because I've only ever been experienced to DeWalt, that's just what I use. And it'll be the same with reptile keeping. And I don't know what's more important, outpricing kids or ultimate animal welfare, because a corn snake in a faunarium with a heat mat, I don't think that's thriving. I'm not going to sit here and say that's thriving, but I also don't think it's neglect. The difference, I think, is obviously in my heart of hearts, I wish it would be in a naturalistic enclosure with UVB and a halogen, but that's just not a reality. So there's no point in living in a dreamland. But as long as that animal can end up in a loving, sensible, realistic home where that animal is going to have the first year of its life in a smaller, not okay setup, and then the next 25 years of its life in a Viv with UVB and a halogen, I think that's a realistic standard. But shocking a parent's system, this is going to cost you 500 quid. Yeah, like I say, I was on a pet shop the other day and a guy had bought a tortoise and he came in and they sold him a tortoise starter kit. And what they sold him is... And he was talking to me about it. And I was like, mate, honestly, I don't want to be a twat. And I don't work in the shop, so I have no horse in the race. But what they've sold you is a load of rubbish. And then he ended up buying another 250 quid worth of stuff at the pet shop I was in because everything he got from the starter kit was wrong. So, it depends. It all depends. And then there's some people I try and say cheap stuff, bare minimum. What's up, Paul? Hello, how are we doing? We're not going to be here for much longer, but thank you for tuning in.
I think
so, yes.
The thing with that is that you need to make it so that it's, when you know that something's going to be a baby or a juvenile enclosure, you need to make sure that they're aware of that. So you want to keep the costs down. So either being able to sell them equipment that you know is going to be transferable, so they only need to sell so they only need to buy an upgraded enclosure, for example, but you know that the heating and the lighting and the thermostat and the decorations and all these things can be transferred over, or you sell them the bare minimum to be able to that, because like you say, it's you throw 400 quid at somebody and then be like, oh yeah, but everything needs to change. Yeah. I've had it before when I was when I used to work in the thrift shop. I'd be like, oh, you can get this filter. You're talking about wanting an upgrade next year anyway. You buy the cheap filter, then you're going to have to buy a whole brand new filter. Or if you buy the slightly more expensive one, you can use that next year when you get your upgrade.
Yeah, it is a hard one. I'm not aiming at I'm not aiming for advancing husbandry standards unless we somehow get legislation to force pet stores to aim for better care. Bare minimum is more realistic. It has to be a balance between the reptiles' welfare and the store's profit. So the problem is, again, I'm going to be 100% brutally honest. The States are so far behind Europe as regards to the hobby, especially when you're talking commercially. I'm not talking at an individual level. I'm talking at a commercial level. So what I have here to deal with and what you have to deal with are going to be completely different. And some of the starter kits here, for example, the Habitat starter kits, I personally am not a fan of. They have the wooden ones with the glass on the front and the glass on the top, and they flip up.
Mm-hmm.
Those they're like a wooden Viv, but they flip up from the top.
Like a chest.
Almost. Like, I'm personally not a fan of those, but you can put UVB in them. They have a slot dedicated for a heat mat, which is insulated so you don't lose heat, and also the animal can't go contact with it, but it's designed so it can. So if you're talking that route, it's designed well for that. But I don't like it because you can't stick a halogen in there. And I personally want halogens on everything. But that over a rub is 10 times better. So again, it depends on how far you want to go, because Exoterra, for the most part, any form of Exoterra setup or equivalent is going to work for most reptiles. You have the mesh on the top, you can add your halogen, you can add your UVB, you can add an LED. And I think, like Michael was saying, as long as you can grow with the stuff that you've got, the problem is stuff like bearded dragons. It's the same as anything in life. A little bit of knowledge is so much worse than no knowledge at all, because if your uncle's cousin's niece once had a bearded dragon and they had it on County sand with a red bulb, oh yeah, well that's the case. It lived for 10 years. That's fine. So that's what you've got in your head, and that's your perception of said care for said animal. It's the same with royals. Like you go on Google royal python care tub, they need to be in tubs. They need to be in tubs. They're like small holes.
Or these care guides.
Yeah,
Care guides on a budget. Make a leopard gecko enclosure for 15
under
quid.
$100. Yeah.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Like they try and make it as cheap as possible.
What's funny though is when I was going to get into fish tanks, salt water, pretty much every video I watched was nano reef tank on a budget. I was like, yeah, boy, I'm not spending $400 on this. So, you're full, and I'm a advanced keeper, I'm going into a brand new hobby, which I'm fully aware I need to spend a lot of money on because I have a friend who's in the hobby, and I'm still looking at the cheap route. I didn't get into the fish tanks, but I can understand why people do it, because you're like, fucking hell, throw 500 quid at a corn snake Viv. Nah, I'm not doing that. But
I done it with my with my marine lighting. I got my 3-foot marine tank. I could have went for one big light, but if I went for one big light, then I knew I wouldn't be able to upgrade it. Whereas if I went for the 2 medium-sized lights, although it was overkill for my tank, if I did want to upgrade it in the future, like everything I bought was because if I upgrade in the future, I can use it. It's understanding, but it's also being able to find a shop that you trust that will give you the correct knowledge. And when you've got a shop like that, or when you've got somebody who you trust that you can get the information from, you'll spend more money. So it's a win-win.
See, I know America's big on fish tanks, like or equivalent of like mesh top, 4 solid glass walls. I'm not a fan of glass full stop. I like the sides being blacked out. I admittedly in my Exoterras, I've only got them on one of them blacked out. But for example, you can get the cork or the foam inserts, because then the animal one doesn't have to stress because it can't perceive the glass, and then you're almost back to vivarium where you've just got the glass at the front. And then also, I'm not a fan of the mesh because certain animals just grate their faces on it. But it's still a better option than a fish tank. So I just think big pet stores need to stop, but they're never going to, because there's a market, and there's also a big market of people walking into places like that, seeing their first reptile, buying their first reptile, buying the starter kit. I'm sure PetSmart, or whatever it's called in America, gets probably more reptile sales, argument's sake, of bearded dragons or leopard geckos than majority of other places. So If you're still here, Fee, there you go. There's a cat. But yeah, it's a hard one. It is a hard one because there's this side of the hobby that you don't necessarily see anymore because you're becoming a part of the advancing community, and it's almost hard not to become an elitist, air commas, because you almost look down at these. But you have to remember everyone has to start somewhere. But I'm a big advocate for, I hope that person that's starting with the meh setup ends up becoming really good and passionate and naturally progresses. Oh, this is rubbish. Let me upgrade it. Let me upgrade it. Let me upgrade it. Let me upgrade it. But I also think this is, again, a hot topic, but I don't think kids should have pets without their parents having some level of passion or interest towards it, because otherwise they just get neglected. So buying someone a bearded dragon when you're petrified of bugs, you know, buying a 5-6-year-old bearded dragon when you're petrified of bugs is a terrible idea. But, yeah, you know. But anything else on that? Either of you?
No.
So you're saying get some discounts, Michael. I forgot what was said. There you go. There's a cat. I can't remember what you said. Taking information from pet stores that might not be ideal. What's happening with BAM? I've missed it. I'm sorry, BAM. BAM. Speaking of reef tanks, I'm starting a job at the biggest producer of marine salt tomorrow. Where? I'm starting a job at the biggest producer of marine aquarium salt tomorrow. Nice. Congratulations, BAM. Good luck.
Is Bam in the UK?
No, he is German. Well, I'm assuming you're in Germany. He has a German name.
Oh.
Yeah, he's German.
That's cool.
That cat is huge.
He's very big.
That's what they all say. Habitat leopard gecko kit is 284 euros. I wouldn't be able to tell you. Whereabouts are you in the world? I can't pronounce your first name. Grelaide. Whereabouts are you in the world? In Germany. Yeah. Well, 2.5 hours of absolute rubbish as always. Thank you, boys. Appreciate your time. As always, we'll revisit this probably mid-year and end of the year.
We'll see how many of our predictions have came true.
Yeah, I will have been cancelled and been completely out of the hobby.
£5 says Paul's bought at least one snake and sold it on by the end of the year.
Yeah. What else?
I'll take that bet.
Matt will have 5 species of tree monitor.
No, I can't see it.
I can. Yeah.
At least 5.
At least. Man. Matt's gonna have 7 species. I agree. Our daughter has her own pair of hognoses in her room, but she's got bug snails, but we both love them too, which is why she does. Plus, she's amazing. Yeah, I think kids having pets is great because it teaches them responsibility and passion and purpose and blah 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 blah. But if the parents are scared of it or do not want to get involved, and the kids aren't of an age where they can do it themselves, then I think it's a terrible idea. But yeah, there you go, Fee. There's the other one. He looks scared to be there.
Honestly.
He's like, you haven't seen how many bugs this man has upstairs.
Don't tell him I've just knocked his bins of isopods on the floor.
All right, bam. I'm taking pictures of this because I have a lady that I speak to, and she speaks German. So I'm gonna get her to translate for me. So yeah, there we go. Okay, thank you everybody. Great video tonight. Appreciate you, Matt and Michael's list. Also, we're taking odds for Paul to buy a snake and sell it. So get it at 5-1 in the chat.
The collab channel.
Oh, the collab channel. If you're still here, go and follow Monitor Dreams. It's Michael's birth child. If you have anything monitor related, doesn't have to be monitor related, but monitor related, and you want to do a post, please make sure you go to tag, click invite collaborator, and invite Monitor Dreams to be your collaborative, and we can get a central hub for monitors worldwide, different species and diversities, and start pushing a passion of these reptiles forward. Did I say it well enough?
Yeah, that's all right.
Good enough. Considering I'm not being paid to do this, it's not too bad. He's getting angry. He's getting tired. In a heat mat, arcane UVB, thermostat, free hides and supplements, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. He doesn't just use Translator. I can't remember, too lazy to use Translator. Anyway, thank you, everyone. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. I'm not here next week, but I might post the Reptile Room next Sunday if you're lucky, but I probably won't. I also am smart enough to use Google Translate. I'm just lazy, but I appreciate the vote of confidence. Anyway, I've been Paul. This has been Matt and Michael. This has been Monitor Dreams. Farewell.